You are listening to Zen and the Art of Triathlon.
Well, hey there, all you triathlon studs and studettes. This is Coach Brett with another great episode of Zen and the Art of Triathlon. Hey, on this show, we have both Rich Roll, the Ultraman Rich Roll, and pro triathlete John Hirsch. Both of them are really good friends of mine, and I'm honored to have them on the show. And we're going to talk with Rich about his new book that's coming out, and it's really cool. I got to see an advanced copy of it, and I was blown away. It was super cool. And then also he gives me some tips on how to do an Ultraman, how to start training for an Ultraman. Not how to do it, but how to start training for it. It's some really interesting stuff that I hadn't thought of before, so that's really cool. And you ought to listen in for some tips on how to start going long and to train better for your longest race. And Ultraman is going to be, Ultra Baby is what I'm doing. I'm doing a self-supported Ultraman with friends this fall. And then, let's see, John Hirsch gets on and talks about his trip to Israel for Israman. He did the half out there, which is one of the world's hardest half distance Ironmans. And then also about training camp in Spain and all kinds of cool stuff. We talk about women going to Kona. It's really neat. Just a great round of interviews that are here for you to check out and pick up some tips and training fun and all kinds of cool stuff. Maybe some inspiration and some motivation. It's all good. But before we get into these interviews, let's check out some triathlon news. Here we go. All right, in racing results, we have two big races that went down. That South African Ironman is a qualifier, automatic qualifier for first place to Kona. And in the men's race, Frederik van Lierde, who already, I think if you win Kona, then you're automatically in Kona for the next few years. I'm not sure. But the press says that Frederik van Lierde already had a spot, but he went out and killed it anyway in 8 hours and 16 minutes and 35 seconds in South Africa. Beautiful. And then Ivan Rana from Spain did an 8:30, so about 14 minutes behind. And then Bart Arnotts from Belgium did an 8:35. So let's see. Let's move over to the women. This was really interesting. Jody Swallow, who lives in South Africa, got first place, and now she is automatically into Ironman championships in Hawaii without having to do the point system, which is pretty cool. And she did it in 9:26, and then pretty close behind her. This is really tight results, and we'll talk about that at Oceanside here in a minute too. Lucy Gossage at 9:31, and then Susie Cheatham in 9:33. So looks like about 7 minutes, 6-7 minutes between the top three, which is crazy, and that is really tight. And also, they are all from Great Britain. That's pretty cool. And let's move over to Oceanside. Let me pull up the results for that. It's going to take a second. Oceanside was a really interesting race, and it's because the women's performance was almost identical to the men's, and one of the terrible justifications for not having as many women at Kona as there is men is that the women's field isn't as competitive. Well, where the results we were just looking at, the top three at Ironman South Africa, the top three men was 20 minutes gap about. I'm looking at maybe 19 minutes. And then the top three for the women at South Africa was, less than 10, like 8 minutes, something like that. So that is more competitive in the women's race than it was in the men's. So think about that for a second. And then also at Oceanside, which is a half Ironman, I think Oceanside used to be a full Ironman. Heather Jackson won. And let's do the women first on this one. Heather Jackson, and then Heather Wortley from Canada, and Holly Lawrence from Great Britain. All within 2 minutes, 1 minute of each other or so. And the top 10 women actually had the same amount of time as the top 10 men, in the gap between first and 10th, which shows that the women's field is super competitive. So you can just kind of throw that whole, the women's field isn't as competitive out the window, because that's kind of dumb. And let's see, there was some interesting stuff in the race. Andy Potts is a ass kicker at this race, but I think Jan Frodeno won last year, and Jan Frodeno definitely won again this year. And Lionel Sanders was in this race. Everybody's excited to see him race, because he's an up and coming pro that has just phenomenal numbers in races, but in training too. But he's kind of new to racing as much as these other guys, so he's kind of feeling it out. And Lionel got third, I believe. And top three goes Jan Frodeno at 3:47, and Andy Potts at 3:48, and Lionel Sanders at 3:49. And a friend of the show, Jesse Thomas, got fifth. And yeah, all around, really, really cool to see these great results. Angela Nath, friend of the show, Angela Nath, got fifth in the women's field with she had a 5-minute time penalty where she had to sit out for a bike penalty of some sort. I still don't have the details on this. We're supposed to interview Angela pretty soon, so maybe we'll find out more. But what she said so far is that she and the other top female bikers caught the slowest of the male bikers, male pros, and then got kind of stuck behind them, and then they get penalized for drafting. And it sucks, and there needs to be more time gap between the male pros and the female pros. That the female pros that are super fast are faster than the male pros that are the slowest. And there's lots of arguments on both sides of, what should be done about that. Should it be harder to become a male pro, or every situation is a little bit different. You could say that there's pros that just aren't having a good day, and so they slack off on the bike. But then maybe there shouldn't be that many of them, so there won't be a pack of them that the women have to go around that are hard charging. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. We'll find out more from Angela what's going on with that. But anyway, both races, South Africa and Oceanside, went down pretty well. So that's pretty cool. Bummer for Angela, but there's more races coming up. I think she's doing Ironman Texas, which is it's a regional championship, just like South Africa was. And if she wins that, then she can go on straight into Kona without having to worry about points as well. So, all right, an interesting technology piece of news that happened at Oceanside, and this is really, really cool, was Jan Frodeno's bike had wireless shifting on it. This is made by SRAM. And this, we've had electronic shifting for a little while now, and it's starting to get competitive. And SRAM just one-upped everything and said, "Oh, you want to do electronic shifting? We'll do electronic shifting, but we're going to do electronic shifting with no wires." And so basically, with, let's say, Shimano electronic shifting, you press a button and it sends the signal to shift through a wire that has to be run through your bike frame and all that stuff to the derailleurs, and then the derailleurs do their thing. And I saw a response to the article about the wireless shifting that was on Jan's bike, that it was from a bike builder, and he said bike frame builders love this idea because you don't need to run cables anymore, and you can actually just set it up, take it off, put it on, just so much easier now like this with no cables than you ever had to before. It's pretty neat. I like it a lot. It's pretty cool. There's pictures of it I believe on Slow Twitch. You can go find it. And also, for Dino's bike is a Canyon brand bike, which I like as well. I like the BMCs and the Canyon look. Those are pretty cool. So that is big news. It's not available to the public yet, but it's coming. And boy, once you go wireless, it's kind of like having wireless Bluetooth headphones. Once you get them, you're like, what in the world am I going to do when I have to actually plug in headphones again? It sucks. But anyway, okay. Also, there is a big aero bar recall for the specialized Shiv, and it's all over the news, but you may not have heard of it. Let me read the recall, because handlebars breaking will end your day very badly, so you need to know about this. Specialized, in cooperation with the United States Consumer Safety Product Commission, announced a recall of the 2012 to 2015 carbon aero bar with aero stem and hydroformed alloy aero bar. This follows a stop sale action from a few weeks ago. According to Specialized, the affected aero bars, and again, 2012 to 2015 carbon aero bar with aero stem and hydroformed alloy aero bar. These were sold as aftermarket equipment and original equipment on all model year 2012 to 2015 Shiv Tri models and the model year 2013 Transition Apex model. This notice does not apply to Shiv TT models or the Shiv Low Stack Aero Bar clamp set. The concern is that the extension clamp bolt on the aero bars may break, which could result in the rider losing control and sustaining serious personal injuries. So I was riding my bike today, and in the crosswind and such, my elbow came off of the aero bar pad and almost freaking lost it. So yeah, you got to watch out for this stuff. In a letter to customers, Specialized wrote, "Please stop riding the aero bars immediately and bring them to your nearest authorized Specialized retailer with a copy of this letter. Your authorized Specialized retailer will professionally install the new extension mounting hardware at no cost to you." It sounds to me like it may just be a bolt. We sincerely apologize for this corrective action, but your safety is very important to us. When you have your authorized Specialized retailer, it's in all caps, replace the extension mounting hardware on your aero bar, please bring this letter with you to receive a $100 credit. This is cool. Towards the purchase of any Specialized branded merchandise. Please choose carefully, as we cannot refund the balance in cash, and you need to use it all in one purchase transaction. Oh, okay. So cool. They're trying to make good on it by giving you $100 towards some gear. So follow up with that, and don't break your body out riding because you figure it's not going to happen to you. It's not worth it. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our interview with my good friend Rich Roll. Rich and I go a long ways back. He's been to several of the camps that I've put on, 2 of the camps that I've put on, and is super cool to hang out with. He's just as cool in person as he sounds on the phone. We had a really good talk, and I haven't talked to him for a little while, so it was nice to catch up. And everything I say about the book in this interview is so right on. It doesn't matter how you eat, what you eat. You get this recipe book, and it gives you some fantastic ideas how to get more veggies into your life. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with Rich. Here we go.
Welcome to the next level.
Hey, are you there?
Here we go. It should work.
There you are.
Sorry, I had an external mic input there. It was me. I had to switch my preferences. Sorry.
Oh man, I know over all these years, I don't blame other people first. Could you hear me talking?
Yeah, I could hear you. The last time I used Skype, I was using an external mic, and so I had to go back in. And
did you hear me say? You just stay on and let me see if the problem is me.
Yeah, I know.
I've learned that. Oh, we're recording, so I'm ready, man. How's
it going, man?
I'm doing really, really good. Did you see that tweet the other day that somebody said you and I sounded alike on a podcast?
I did see that.
That was funny.
I don't know how I sound. I try to avoid listening to my voice. It freaks me out. Despite doing all this podcasting, I'm so uncomfortable listening to my own voice.
I think we both sound like beachy types, like beach boy kind of people, and so
too many bong hits.
No,
not me.
No, I had when I was in high school, I had people ask where I moved there from.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, from right here. I don't know. What are you talking about, dude? Bro.
Well, it's Texifornia. You have a little bit of a Texas-like twang, but there's a little bit of a surfer laid-back drawl as well.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your book, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks. We're really excited. We're kind of in the heavy pre-sale campaign mode, but it comes out April 28th. It's available for pre-order now, but this has been like a long road. We've been working on this book, I think we did our first photo shoot for it like almost at least a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. So we've been toiling away on this thing for quite a long time. It's been an incredible journey, and we're super excited that it's finally almost out. And it's a great book, man. I mean, it's, of course I'm going to say that because it's my book, but it was really exciting to write a book with Julie. And, this is her first book. And, first and foremost, it's a cookbook. It's got 120 plant-based recipes in it, but it's really a lot more than just a recipe book. Like, it's filled with tons of like lifestyle tips and tools and resources and all kinds of stuff that I think are all super helpful for just the average modern family who's looking to make better choices. One of the questions that we get like every day is, how can I get my spouse or my partner to eat more healthy, or how can I get my kids off the crappy, foods that they're eating, or the mac and cheese or whatever. And so a lot of it is just, kind of things that we've done, sort of strategies that have worked in our family to help all of us kind of transition to this plant-based lifestyle. So, it's a vegan cookbook, and, I'm part of that community and I love that community, but it's really oriented around, putting an appealing, accessible, veneer on, the traditional vegan cookbook so that it's accessible and workable and appealing to the average modern family, no matter what their dietary proclivities are, because everybody wants to be healthier. Everybody wants their kids to be healthy. And, we struggle with trying to find ways to make that work when we're busy and we're working and we're doing a million things. It's only guys like you and me that are online researching health and nutrition. Most people, they're just living their lives. You gotta make it easy for people, and you gotta make it delicious. Most importantly, it has to taste good, and it has to be doable. So that was really kind of the approach that we took, kind of like our theme as we compiled this book. So we're really proud of it, and we're so excited that we're on the cusp of it almost being out there and being ready to finally share with everybody.
Yeah, you can tell. I got a pre-release copy of it the other day, and I made the mistake, Rich, of opening it and reading it when I haven't eaten in a little while. I was dying. I was like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. The photography in it is incredible. It is so good.
We have amazing photography. The food photography is extraordinary, and that always has to be good. But I think what distinguishes this book again is the lifestyle photography, because it's really a book about our family journey. That's really kind of at the core of what it is. It's like, this is how we live. Like, we didn't go out and find some chef to partner with who could come up with a bunch of recipes we could put in a book. Like, these are the recipes that, we and when I say we, I mean Julie, really, developed over the last 8 years since we kind of, began this journey. And, all of the recipes are designed with kind of a twofold approach. One, to be able to kind of satisfy, my training needs, like what's going to fuel me and what's going to, satisfy me when I come back from working out all day and make me strong and help me recover quickly and all of that. But also at the same time, it's got to be stuff that's delicious that our kids are going to eat. And, Julie's not slaving away in the kitchen all day. Like everything has to be quick. It has to be easy and facile and taste good, because she's not going to make different meals for the kids versus what she's making for me. And so all the photography kind of is, it's just a peek into our lifestyle. It's all very editorial. We worked with this amazing young photographer named Maclay Harriet, who basically he specializes in photographing rock bands. Like he goes on tour with bands and he shoots Lollapalooza and all of that kind of stuff. But we just loved his style. Like nothing's really staged. Like we would just prepare meals and he'd hang out at our house with our family and he would just shoot what we were doing. And those are the photos that ended up in the book.
Over the years, like knowing you really well, I expected the book to be fantastic, right? Because you always work on making sure you have really high quality stuff. And I even expecting the best, I was still blown away. Like I didn't think I wouldn't call it it's recipe, but a lifestyle food book, whatever, could be that good. It was fantastic. I can't wait to actually show it to other people.
Man, that's super nice of you to say. Thank you.
It's easy to say because it was astounding. Like you're saying, the lifestyle photography around your house is so cool, and the family, and you look like you're totally in the middle of living, and this is the food you can eat to do it. So,
thanks. Yeah. I mean, I think that it goes back to what's the best way to kind of influence people? And you can browbeat them and tell them, look, you're eating unhealthy foods. You got to get on the bandwagon. Mm-hmm. Or you can say, why are you, treating the environment horribly? But like, that doesn't work. This is something I've been learning more and more about through my own podcast. Like I had this guy, Joshua Catcher, on a couple weeks ago, who's a garment designer, he's a fashion designer.
Oh yeah. I liked him a lot. That was great.
Yeah. And he works with, vegan materials, everything's sustainable and eco and all of that. And he's like, look, I'm not going to be able to get people to wear my clothes by telling them they're going to be better people for wearing it. They have to be more beautiful. Like they have to be great, And in the same way, I just put up a podcast last night with Ethan Brown, who's CEO of Beyond Meat. And he's trying to create like the ultimate veggie burger and, sort of plant-based chicken products. And he's like, if I want to convert people to eating more plant-based, I have to create a product that's equally delicious, if not more delicious. And that's kind of the approach we took with this book. Like, we're not going to like lecture people on what they should or they shouldn't do or should or shouldn't eat. We're just trying to show you like, this is awesome and this is fun and this is like, an aspirational way to live that I think is really, modern and cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like Tesla figured out with the electric car, you got to quit making cars. If you want to convert people to electric car, it has to be just as good as your old car, but better. It has to be the same, but better.
Exactly.
Like it can't be too different, or else people don't see it as an option. And so they made this car that performs on the same level as a Ferrari, and you just charge it on a battery. It's amazing.
It's the best car you can get. I mean, you could check every box. It's better in every single category, and that's how you make progress. I think.
And so going through your book, I made notes on like 6 or 7 things that I saw in there I wanted to talk about.
Right.
It's typical of me. I like making lists, and you one of the first things that stood out to me is what you were just saying now. Is this in one sentence? You're talking about a recipe or fueling, and you said, here's how I do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's rich roll, and 2, that's smart, because you're showing people, and I do that with parenting my son,
Mm-hmm.
I don't tell him exactly how to do something. Sometimes I say, hey, quit throwing rocks at cars. But other times I say, he's trying to figure out how to do something, and I say, well, this is the way I found that really works for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I think that's powerful. That's an idea that I learned in recovery. Like, you don't get up and tell people what they should or shouldn't do, or this is the right way and I'm the expert and you must do it like this. I just share my experience, and people can take from that, what they will, but I'll just say, this is how I did it. There might be a better way, but this is what's worked for me.
Yeah. And then the classic question, where do you get your protein, is in there. And
well, you gotta have that.
You gotta put it in there. And also, I wanted to back up a second and say, you can tell from the book that it's that there's hints and clues and tones of just so much experience in there with how to eat vegan, because, like you were saying, you can tell that the authors have been doing this for a while. They know how to handle all the usual questions, right? And where do you get your protein and stuff, and how to show people how to make it work in their life. And it's like, it's once you the history of you, and that you've done Ultramans this way, Epic 5 Ironmans in less than a week, or in a week, and then feeding the family like this, and hosting a podcast about nutrition and health. Like, this book seems to have it coming in from all facets. Like, it's really great. But and the where do you get your protein question, I find myself really funny, because you if you just look at the nutrition label on most vegetables and vegetables don't have labels on them, but just say a can of beans, it's got so much protein in it, and peanut butter, and it's got just massive amounts of protein in it, that asking where do you get your protein is kind of a silly question sometimes.
Yeah, but it's an interesting one. I mean, that's obviously the main one that everybody wants to know right off the bat. And, a lot of people in the vegan plant-based world get annoyed with that. Mm-hmm. But I just think if someone's asking that question, that's an opening to have a dialogue about it. And I think that it's an opportunity, and I think that we're in a culture right now that has this crazy fixation with protein, and that fixation is fueled by a lot of vested financial interests that would like you to continue to eat their products by explaining to you that this nutrient, this macronutrient protein, is absolutely, not only absolutely essential for you to be able to get out of bed in the morning and breathe air into your lungs, but that the only place you can get it is from animal products. And it's just not true, but it's so deeply ingrained into our psyche that the idea of challenging it is tricky, I think. And so, I try to explain it in as elementary a way as possible. But you're right. I mean, look, I know guys that are fruitarian. They basically just eat bananas all day, and then they go out and run 220 marathons and stuff. So something is working in their life to be able to deliver protein to their muscles and their organs and et cetera. And the truth is that almost everything we eat has protein in it in some form or another. And if all you do is kind of graze on plants randomly throughout the day, nature pretty much has it wired that you're going to meet your nutritional need, which is much lower than most people realize. Like, I think it's 10% of calories should come from protein, and the World Health Organization actually estimates it much lower at like 2 to 3%.
Oh, wow.
And most people are basically sedentary, and they're ingesting about 2 to 5 times the amount of protein they need. And there's no indication that that's a health benefit. In fact, the evidence suggests that it's damaging and harmful. And so, part of my mission is to get people to better understand this concept.
I was just looking at the nutrition online for peanut butter, and 2 tablespoons of peanut butter has 16% of your protein needs.
Right. Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah, it doesn't take much at all. And wow, that's pretty cool. Okay, and then what about you have a chapter in there, Beyond the Kale.
Mm-hmm.
So, has kale jumped the shark? Are we have people figured out that it's not just kale? Is kale a introductory, what do you call it? A starter drug?
Starter, yeah. Well, I mean, I think, a couple observations about that.
Yeah.
Look, kale's awesome. The fact that like people are talking about kale and wearing T-shirts that say kale on it, like that's an amazing thing, right? Like, so that's cool. I celebrate that. I'm certainly not against that in any way, shape, or form. But I think it speaks to, on a larger scale, it kind of speaks to our, reductionist inclinations. The idea that like one food is going to solve everything, or if I just remove this one, like if I remove all sugar from my diet, that's the solution. Or if I remove all grains, or if I just eat kale, like people want that one thing that they can do.
They overdo it.
And they want to believe that that's the ultimate solution to everything. So it's part of that kind of piece in the book is really a plea for a more holistic perspective about food and nutrition than to just kind of identify one thing as the be all one all answer. And the second thing is that the idea of going beyond the kale is really the idea that true wellness, it begins with what's on your plate, like what you put in your mouth, right? Like that's super duper important. But true sustainable wellness is so much more than that. It's a balanced approach to mind, body, and spirit. And so, yes, this is a cookbook and it's predominantly about food, but it's really important that we talk about, address, and incorporate lifestyle practices into our lives that balance us out and make us healthy in the other aspects of our life, our emotional health, our mental health, our physical health, all of these sorts of things. Because you can eat as much kale as you want, but if you're like bonkers crazy, or you're, irritable and reactive, or you're lazy and a couch potato, like these things are not making you overall a very healthy person, right? I need to look at all of those things.
You could be trading stock in the pit at Wall Street, screaming and yelling, and gnawing on kale is not going to really help that much.
Yeah, you can drink as much green juice as you want, but like if you're out of whack in that regard, like you might have to look at that, right?
Yeah. Okay, so to blend or juice is in there as well, and I like this a lot because I found out early on that a lot of stuff that juices are really high in sugar, and that's fine if that's what you need at the moment. But day in, day out, it may not be all that great for you. But blending is actually a really cool solution, and you can blend fruits and veggies, and then add water as needed, and then you have more of a filling with more fiber in it, kind of slow down the sugar a little bit, and not need as much sugar. And so I really liked it that you have that in there to at least discuss with people that you don't have to juice everything and you don't have to blend everything. There's kind of you kind of decide as you go.
Yeah, they each have their purpose and they're different. Like blending is almost like drinking an entire meal, and you have to be conscious about what you're putting in. Like if you just put a ton of sweetened almond milk and peanut butter and lots of fruit, like you're looking at the equivalent of a chocolate sundae calorie wise. Mm-hmm. So it's about being mindful about what you're putting into that. And I like to look at juicing as more medicinal. I think that juicing can be a lot of different things. If you're juicing just tons of fruit, that's very different than juicing spinach and kale and ginger. So different juices have different purposes, just as different blends do, and they all have their place. They're just qualitatively different, and I wanted to kind of talk about what those differences are and identify the different purposes for them.
Cool. And there's a section in there, Embracing the Now, which looks like Julie wrote it. Well, her face is in there in that part.
Yeah. Well, it's key coded. Like there's a little for some of the articles, like there's an RR next to them, and some there's a J. So it kind of shows, because we writing this together.
Okay. Yeah.
We're staring, Julie and I are kind of a yin and a yang. Like we have different ideas and different perspectives that mesh well together and speak to different kinds of people. But yeah, that was something that Julie put in there, which again goes back to this holistic approach to wellness that extends beyond the plate.
Yeah, it always seems to me, Rich, that my impression of you is that, and I think you talk about this a lot, is before you got into all this with Julie, you were not like this. And and then what I see in the photos and in the food and everything is somebody that it's like you're from another planet, and then now you're in it and you love it. It's like, I am here, I am signed up. Thank you for picking me up on this spaceship. It is really cool, is the way it comes across.
For sure, man. For sure. That's definitely, I mean, it really, that's why it's exciting to write the book with Julie. I mean, the first, Finding Ultra was just my story. And I make it very clear in that book that, like, Julie is really the catalyst for the whole thing. Like, she's the spine in the equation, but it was really my story. And so this was an opportunity for Julie to, share much more of where she's coming from in all of this. And I mean, she's really the catalyst for all of it. And, she's the genius and the artist in the kitchen. And so, really this is her book more than it is my book, I think.
Oh, wow. Cool. It's definitely both of y'all, I think, because it's really nice. So when's the book coming out again?
Comes out at the end of April 28th. So we got about a month. A month.
April 28th, The Plant Power Way, and it's how many pages?
I think it clocked in at around 320 pages.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the final exact page count is. We're still the final. There's like the way it works in publishing. You're like editing down to the last second. And there's this book was complicated to put together because it's so graphic and photograph intensive. So the formatting, everything, stuff's getting moved around and all that kind of stuff. So the final books are meant to be printed at the end of this month. So we should have them in like a week, which is pretty cool. So I think there's a little over 120 recipes, and it comes in at about 320 pages.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's really great, and the recipes just keep going on and on and on. It's really neat. So much different stuff in there. And I like the names for the things too. There was a Kona something.
A couple of the blends are from
Yeah, it's really cool.
Adventures.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let's talk about Ultra Baby. Let's talk about me for a while.
I know. So what's happening? You're about to just embark on this self-styled Ultraman adventure, man.
I'm already understanding a little bit of what you went through. I'm already going, oh crap, this is this is going to be a lot of work. So I wanted you on to give me a few tips early on what I can do, and like. Because it'll be in October. It happens to be on the same weekend as Kona, as Ironman Hawaii Championships, just by accident. And then what I did is I scheduled it. I'm doing a self-supported Ultraman. I'm going to do the distances the same as the real Ultraman, and then people are going to come do it with me. Mm-hmm. And if people finish, then they get a belt buckle, and we're calling it the Ultra Baby, because over the years, I've always just donated any charity money to March of Dimes for babies and for kids. And the thing immediately that I'm running into is, Rich has done these, and what's the volume? And I know what's the volume needed, to train well, and I'm not looking to kill it out there. I just want to finish and not fall over every day, maybe the last day fall over, but the like what are some of the volume numbers? But I remember actually when your first time you were looking just to finish it, really, right?
Right.
And then but you did really well, especially in the swim. And then the second time around you were looking more to compete. And I remember us talking a long time ago, and you were changing up your training the second time around a little bit because you already had so much base under you.
Mm-hmm. A little bit, yeah.
So I got a lot of base, but it'll come and go over when it gets hot here in the summer and there's no races for a little bit. It's kind of like Texas winter. It's not as much training, so I'm going to look back off a little bit. So. Looking for volume numbers and distances and stuff like that, that may based on my experience and having doing so much ultra stuff for all these years, I may kind of have to, modify, or knowing that, what do you think, I should be doing?
I think everybody's different. Like, I respond really well to, I'm like a diesel workhorse. So I respond really well to high volume aerobic zone training. Mm-hmm. Some people, like a lot of like intense quality work in there. My body doesn't tend to respond to that quite as favorably. Yeah. And you might be different. So again, it goes back to, I can share my experience, but I can't tell you exactly what you should or shouldn't do. I mean, you've been doing this long enough to know how your body functions best and how it responds to training. Yeah. But I would say that there's a couple big differences when it comes to Ultraman versus Ironman. The obvious, which is, it's a lot longer. So it does require putting in, quite a bit more volume. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is, and this is important, is that you don't have to run off the bike, right? So you don't have to do a lot of brick runs. I mean, you should do some, because you want to know what it feels like to run on tired legs. And so, my training was really oriented around, every time I was running, it was always on tired legs. Like, I never did like a run after a rest day. Like, I would never do a run on fresh legs. It was always about acclimating to running when I was most fatigued, because that's the experience you're going to have, and like having to run 52 miles on day 3. And the other thing is the Friday, Saturday, Sunday block, I'd always try to mimic a version of Ultraman. So Fridays were always, a swim and a bike of some varying distances. And then Saturday is always my long ride, and Sunday is always my long run. Like, that kind of anchors the training. And so around that, you structure your increase in volume as you progress throughout the season, but in that periodized way. So you have built-in rest weeks and rest days. Monday was always a rest day for me. Tuesday is usually, I don't know, a swim or a bike. Or I'm sorry, Tuesdays. There would be one day a week where I would do double runs. It was it was usually Wednesday, I think. But during the week, the workouts are shorter, and then, your schedule might be different. I'm not sure, but just kind of, acclimating to those weekends, and those weekends get longer and longer and longer until ultimately, when you're 6 or 8 weeks or 9 weeks out from Ultraman, you're actually approaching the Ultraman distance in those 3-day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday blocks. So I know that I did 80% of Ultraman one weekend, and then 3 weeks later I did 90% of it. So you're getting used to the idea of what it's going to feel like. So it's not strange, but those long rides would ramp up to 8 hours there at the end. And I think the longest run I did in training was I did a 40-mile run, and then I did a 45-mile run on those Sundays. Those are learning how to do the walk-run method. I mean, when you wake up, on that third day, you're so beat up and tired, the idea of running just seems insane. And the idea that you're going to, run it in the way that maybe you would run, a 50K or a 50-miler on fresh legs is a little bit different. The strategy has to be a little bit different. You have to understand that you are going to be tired, and how are you going to strategize around that.
Wow, that's really good advice, because I hadn't thought about that. Was start doing the Ultraman kind of on the weekends, and start building up to that, and then start figuring out how to make it work, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that this is where you experiment. You experiment with how you're going to fuel yourself. Always understanding you're kind of eating for the following day, not just what you need in that moment. What it's going to feel like. When you have those tired legs and you got to run, and is it going to be a walk run method? If so, what is the interval that's going to work for you? Is it 4 miles of running and a half a mile walking? Is it 4 minutes of running and 1 minute of walking? Playing around with that to find the combination that suits your physique is really important, I think.
Hey, something I wanted to tell you this on lately I've been experimenting with more fat in my diet for calories, and I'm loving it. And it's so easy to find. Guacamole and cashews are my go-to right now.
Yeah.
And it seems to add in more of the calories that I need to train, because I'm training for Ironman Texas coming up, and without having to eat all the time, because I'm getting in the calories, but I'm not just constantly just stuffing my face with food when I was doing mostly trying to eat lean on fat and mostly carbs. And the other upside that I'm finding is this craziness where people eat high fat and their metabolism kind of shifts a little bit or a lot, and then they find they're not so carb dependent. Especially while training, they just don't need to eat as many carbs because your body's used to fat as a fuel, and not ketosis kind of stuff, which I'm not a fan of. But I wanted to let you know and see if you had any thoughts on, because I remember you and I talking a couple years ago about how you would say you would eat, an entire avocado and stuff like that at once and for fuel. And I got to say, Rich, like adding in more fat to my diet as an ultra endurance athlete, adding in more fat into my diet has really been nice, really nice. And
I can understand that. I mean, I think that. When you're training ultra endurance, the lion's share of your training is all in that aerobic zone, right? And so when you're training in the aerobic zone, you're metabolizing fat for fuel as opposed to glycogen. So, eating a bunch of sugary stuff isn't really the correct approach, because you're not relying on those sugars as your predominant energy source. Fat is a more efficient fuel. There's much more, calories per ounce in fat than there is in sugar, and it's like a slower kind of all day burning, kind of fuel. So, that makes perfect sense, and I get it, and that's what I would do as well. I think that part of it might be informed by the fact that the more ultra endurance training you do, and the more volume you're doing in that kind of aerobic zone, the more fat adapted you become. Like, you become extremely efficient in sort of operating in that fat burning zone. I think it's unclear how much that's informed by the foods that you're eating versus the kind of training that you're doing. Like, I sort of tend to believe, just based on my own experience, that it's much more about the kind of training that you're doing than the foods you're eating. But I think that when you're correct in that eating a bunch of sugary stuff isn't really, going to do you very much good when you're training in this manner. Yeah.
And I think I agree with you that it's not, and it may vary per person, but definitely people argue about whether it's the food or it's the training style, right? And you know what I noticed? Last week, I was out on a long ride, and I bonked because I ate too much sugary stuff too fast, and I was going too hard. And this weekend, I set out to redeem myself and just backed off the pace just the tiniest bit, and had just a fantastic workout, and then my brick run right after it, a fantastic bike ride, and then my brick run right after it was faster. Even though I actually ate less the entire time. It was really cool, like how much your body responds to little inputs kind of here.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten to the point where, when I'm fit, like I'm so acclimated to this kind of training that I can go out and ride for hours and hours and hours with literally just water. If I'm keeping my, my watts in the zone 2, and I keeping my heart rate, below that Z3. Like, because your body has, you have enough, fat stores in your body to, fuel you for, a week of that, or what, it's like not going to run out of energy.
It's like 200 marathons back to back or something like that.
But if you exceed your aerobic threshold and you start going anaerobic, like you start doing some threshold work or some tempo work, that's not going to last. Like, because you need glycogen for that, and so you will burn through your stores of that relatively quickly, unless you start fueling yourself along the way.
Yeah, when I finished yesterday, I felt so good, and then overnight, and then this morning. And again, I ran faster than I had before by backing off the pace, so I could actually take on fuel and use it, and without getting sick to my stomach. And then I needed less. It was weird.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
And I felt so good when I was done. I had that weird feeling of like, man, I could just do this all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you can't. You got to go pay the bills. But man, I could see actually. I was reading an interview with a guy on Slow Twitch, the guy that won Ultraman this year. And he said that it wasn't going to be that big of a deal for him to race in it, because in training he'd done crazy stuff like accidentally found himself in another state while on a bike ride, And I'm like, man, how do you fuel for something like that? And then after yesterday's ride, I was like, okay, I could see how you could do that. You just back off the pace a little bit, and then it's amazing what you can do. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. The body, body adjusts, and it goes back to efficiency. It's not like threshold power. It's efficiency. You become extremely efficient in that particular form of exercise to the extent that you can go all day and do it. And that's why you hear guys like Dean Karnazes. I mean, he goes out and runs a marathon every morning. He's so adapted to that for him to go out and run 4-hour marathon every single morning, it's just not that taxing for him. Like, he doesn't really need to bring food or water, maybe just one bottle of water, and he's good. Like, he's so adjusted to that. And that's what the body does. And, that's part of what the training is about, is becoming adapted.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, thanks for the tips. And
so this is October.
Yeah, you're definitely invited. I know you got a million things going on, and I don't know if you ever want to do another one. Ultraman.
Who else is doing? Do you have anybody who's like signed on to do the whole thing with you?
Oh yeah, I got several people. There's a list online on ZenTriathlon.com. There's the Ultra Baby is at the top, a link, and then there's a Word document or a Google document in there. I hope other people can see it. Sometimes permissions can be a pain, but and it's got a list of everybody that said yes so far. We got a female pro. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, that's coming. And then Devin, Texas Devin, is going to, he might come crew. I don't know if he's actually going to do it or not. And Tom Barbieri from New York is coming down to do it. And we got like about 3 or 4 or 5 that have committed to do it.
Yeah.
And but you know how things get, right down to the wire. It gets, things start popping up.
And do you have a lake where you're going to do the swim, or are you going to do it in a
totally.
pool?
We're going to do the swim in a lake, and then we're going to bike, right from the lake around. And then the next day, the big thing I got to figure out right now is the coordination of the course. It's easier to support the race if people do loops. Some people... Nobody I've talked to so far, but I just know some people are like, oh, crap, loops. And then some people say, oh, yes, loops.
Right.
Because the dangerous thing that I've heard about Ultraman, and the thing that limits the number of people that can do it, is vehicles out on the course trying to support bikers, especially, and then a little bit of runners. Out on the open road. And if you do loops, then all of a sudden you can have a whole lot more people, and it's safer, and they can go by an aid station, and family can see them a whole lot easier, and just do loops. So I'm trying to figure out a way to do that that's not mind-numbing.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, otherwise it becomes such a logistical puzzle, because you got the crew vans, and when you're going point to point, then you're staying in different places every night, and your mind starts to fill up with all these details that you have to worry about that extend far beyond just the physical aspects of covering the distances.
If we do point to point, it'll be everybody comes back to College Station and stays at their place, but different starting points every day, and then different ending points. So.
Well, that's exciting, man.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm glad to have you on to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, of course, man. Anything I can do to help, that's very cool.
You can say good luck.
John Hirsch is not in on this?
I'm trying to convince him. I don't know when Beach the Battleship is. It usually ends up being around the same time. where I've invited him. So Christine Lynch might come do it. She's got a problem. She's got an injury in her foot, but she and I are about the same speed, and she's already talking trash to me. She not only are we about the same speed, I think she's actually faster than me. So this may be a ultra baby where women just dominate the thing and just destroy all the guys. It'll be really cool to see.
Women are fast, and the longer the distance, the better the women are.
I know. How cool was it watching Hillary Biscay at that one? Was it year before last?
She destroyed. You know, she's a machine. You know, she's awesome.
I remember saying that if she won, they need to call it Ultra Woman for a year.
They should, right? They certainly should.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, hang on, and I'll talk to you after the call's up.
Okay, cool.
All right, thank you so much, Rich, and let's do some sound probiotics. Well, let's talk about Rich again for a second. Rich is a really big deal in the health movement. He's been going around and giving talks and motivating people to get healthier. And he really did turn his own life around from being stressed out and out of shape and into doing Ultramans, which just shows that you can do it too. It's really, really cool what he's done. So he's a really good friend, and it's an honor to actually have him on the show. And a long time ago, he actually reached out to me first. So he is a genuine supporter of Zen and Yard of Triathlon. I even have a picture on the blog of him wearing the ZenTri shirt. So give him some love and help him out by getting that book, pre-sales rocking and rolling. All right. Let's see. Sound probiotics, 10% off. Okay, what are probiotics? They're little tiny pills that you take that don't taste like anything. So you just put it next to your coffee maker in the morning, or I have a basket of kind of healthy stuff that I put into my green smoothies when I make one pretty much every day. And or you can put it by your toothpaste or something like that, something you use constantly, and you just put it there, and you pop one of these, and what it has in the capsule is food to help feed the healthy bacteria in your gut. And it's the healthy bacteria that make you feel good, help you digest food properly, and it helps your immune system from getting sick. One of the worst things that can happen to you while you're training for endurance sports is to get sick. And not getting sick is so easy to do by eating right and having healthy gut bacteria. They say, I think it's like 70% of your immune system is the bacteria in your gut. So if you feed them the right thing, you feed the right ones the right thing, then you're way better off and will get sick much less often. So go ahead and check these out. These are formulated for athletes, not just sedentary couch potatoes, but super cool people like you and you over there listening, and you. Yeah, you. You can try them too, man. They're great. Okay, Sound Probiotics. Let's see, 10% off with coupon code ZenTri, capital letters, ZenTri, all one word. They contacted me to offer to be on the show, so you know that they love what we are doing here. And they also signed 2 Olympians, Maddie Boom Boom Reed and mountain biker Sam Schultz with Cannondale. So check them out. SoundProbiotics.com, big supporters of Zen and Yard of Triathlon. All right. Speaking of being healthy, and our last interview was with a vegan, Rich Roll, let's keep on going with our buddy John Hirsch, pro triathlete, who's also really healthy. He's a vegetarian, so he'll sneak in some, what does he eat? What do vegetarians eat that vegans won't? Dairy? Maybe eggs? I think it kind of depends. But anyway, John is super cool, and he's a really good friend of mine. I love talking to John. He's got so much energy, and I'm glad he became a professional triathlete because I think it helps calm him down so he doesn't just explode in the flames from having too much to do, just from vibrating himself into pieces. So let's go ahead and check out our interview with John Hirsch, talking about all kinds of cool stuff. Israman, training camp in Spain, women to Kona, all kinds of cool stuff. All right, here is John. Here we go.
What is up?
Hello. What are you doing?
I'm chilling. It's actually Pi Day. Are we recording yet?
Yeah, it automatically starts recording.
Sweet, because I don't want anyone to miss any of this.
This is going to be awesome.
Exactly, and I'm bringing my A game straight from the get-go. Like, this is like going to be the best interview ever.
50 Shades of Tri.
Oh God! But anyways, I am hanging out after my doing my post StrongLikeBullTraining.com camp chill out, denting the sofa a little, taking some recovery, and today, as many people in the Geekiverse know, is Brett. What's
Pi
today?
Day. Pi Day.
Pi Day.
3.14. It's also Einstein's birthday.
No, but it gets even better. It's Pi Day 3.14 plus. It's 2015, the next two digits of Pi Day, 31415. And we're going to go one level beyond that. And guess at what time I went to my Pi Day party?
What time?
Every geek is geeking right now. 9:26. So at 9:26, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You had the most unbelievable experience of Pi Day that is possible for the next 100 years.
Wow. That's great, dude.
Yeah.
And we ride around on bicycles that have circles for wheels.
Right, so everybody within this community knows that Pi Day is a big day.
It is a big day.
And I celebrated it by going to a party that I didn't fully understand was going to, in fact, be all just pie.
Was it this podcast?
No. I am now fueled by 4 different types of pie.
Okay.
Yeah, I could send you a photo if we need it for the show notes.
Okay, yeah.
So people can get a sense of what all the pies were that I was eating.
I don't even like pie. I like cake and I like brownies.
Wait, did you say you don't like pie?
No, I don't. I like key lime pie. That's the only kind of pie I like.
Whoa, dude!
I don't like pie, dude. I don't like apple pie. I don't like cherry pie.
We're using this is we're not just using the interwebs. We're using a phone.
I don't even like
and
cobbler.
I don't think my government wants to know that I'm talking to somebody who doesn't like pie.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Black helicopters. What?
So I want to talk about 3 things today.
Oh, not just pie?
No. I don't even know if that's going to make the list in the show notes.
Oh, it better make the show notes.
Okay. I want to talk about Israman.
Yes.
Strong Like Bull Camp.
Yes.
And 50 women to Kona.
Okay. Interesting that you threw the last and most controversial one out at me.
No, I want you to choose.
Without telling me that we were going to be having that conversation.
I messaged that to you like
totally
a week ago.
No,
I messaged
Did you mention the 50? Did you mention the 50? I almost said 50 Shades of Grey at Kona. The 50 women at Kona thing?
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with which one? Israman?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Sure.
So, do you want to ask a question, or do you want me to just go on some crazy rant? Then you jump in with ADHD, then I jump in with ADHD, and the next thing you know, we're talking about pie again. Squirrel.
That reminds me. We'll start with that now. There's a guy that follows me on Strava named. He gives me kudos on my Strava rides.
Okay.
That can kind of happen some weird way.
Mm-hmm.
And his name is dun 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 dun.
Yeah, dude, you got a lot of dead air for a podcast.
Hold on.
Man. I think
Squirrel bait. Every time I do a workout, Squirrel bait gives me kudos.
Well, that's great. That sounds wonderful.
Okay, let's go back to Israman.
All right.
You start.
Wait, just start talking about Israman?
Okay, well, let me ask you, when was it and where is it?
All right.
And how do you spell it?
Israman, Esraman, is the premier triathlon in the country of Israel. It takes place in Eilat, which is in the southernmost region. It's a tiny sliver of land between Egypt and Jordan. So during the race, you're actually looking at 3 different countries.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then it's also the Red Sea for those people who are know their Torah and biblical scholarship. It's where Moses crossed over, and escaping the Pharaoh. I thought the Red Sea. That was where to swim. Interestingly, Red Sea no longer parted. You still have to do the swim course. Yeah. Yeah. So for those of you who want to do like a beach to battleship or New York City Tri where you're like floating and not really having to work, not the race for you. In fact, the Red Sea is no longer parted. You have to do all 0.2 miles of the swim.
So I'm going to Google Maps right now and trying to get to Israel.
Okay.
And it's
you want to go?
Oh, the Red Sea, or is it the Gulf of Arabia? Is that the Red Sea?
Nope.
No.
I don't know. I'm not looking at it, but it's the Red Sea. So it's warm. It's like the water's beautiful. It's crystal clear, kind of like the Caribbean. For those of you who have been there, it's got fish and coral and all sorts of beauty, and it's just wonderful, fantastic. It's one of the best swim venues I've ever done.
Oh, the Red Sea.
The race is held in late. The race is held in late January because it's crazy hot in the desert in the Middle East in the summer. But in the winter, it's actually beautiful. It's like 55 to 70 without any humidity, so just ideal conditions.
Yeah.
Which is important because it's one of the hardest courses I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, I've heard it's crazy hard.
Bike, it's like, I don't know the numbers, but it's 20K of just straight climbing. It's, it took me an hour to get 20K into the race. For those of you who don't speak metric, that's like 12 miles or something. And it's just all climbing. Steep, pitched climbing, like out of the saddle, grinding, climbing for an hour. And it's brutal. Yeah. After that, it's not flat. It continues to be relentless climbing as you ride along the Israel-Egypt border, which is kind of funky because there's a giant fence and, dudes with machine guns. And my dudes actually mean like 16-year-old girls with machine guns or 18-year-old girls. They have mandatory military service.
Dude, but they're
Israel.
into it. Girls like guns.
It's
sometimes.
crazy, but it's really weird. Like I'm hanging out and there's like we're in a lot and we go to like at this little mall and there's like an 18-year-old, which apparently I got old because now 18-year-olds look really young. And she's like got her little shopping bag from like Sephora and a machine gun. Right? Like it's like I'm like whoa. She's like playing on her phone. She's got her machine gun around her body and like she's holding her like safari bag, which is just it's trippy. Anyways. The course is stunning, though, and it's like it's all just through the desert, and it's just absolutely beautiful. They closed the road in both directions, too, which is amazing. So you have this totally closed road that's beautifully hard, and then you finish, and you start with a 10K downhill run that is crazy steep, and that's it's a two-transition race. Then you run 10... K straight down into the city, and then you run another, 10K or whatever to the 12K to the finish along the promenade and stuff, which is really nice. There's a little out and back section too along the beach, which is nice.
So it's
on pavement.
It's on the very southern tip of Israel. I'm looking at a map, way out.
Yeah,
there's nothing around there. So
no, there's nothing. I mean, there's literally. I flew into Tel Aviv and drove 4 hours through the desert. And that was it. And it was like, there was like very little between the two. I mean, it's just old school desert. Like when you think, if anybody listening to this podcast closes their eyes and like, this is like imagines desert. That's what it looks like. Red rocks, no real like vegetation, camels. I mean, like straight up hardcore desert. It is beautiful. But it's also like, has that, like overwhelming kind of sense of like I don't know, there's just something really like desolate about deserts. It's a trippy kind of awesome experience.
People that get used to the desert really love it because you can see so much of the terrain. And I have a friend that he's Lakota Indian and he's done survival stuff in the desert and in the woods, and he said it's actually easier in the desert because you can see where stuff is, and in the woods you can't see anything. You don't know where you're going or what's going on.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could orientate myself in the desert pretty easily. Just with the sun, which they don't have clouds because they don't have rain. So and be like, okay, that's Masada, the giant mountain, the castle fort. That's the sunrise. That's the sunset. Okay, this is all pretty. You can pretty much figure it out. But you're right. Like I grew up in Connecticut, New England, which is like deep, thick forest, and it's totally different.
Yeah.
You just walk into that, and it's like what's that movie, The Hobbit, right? Where they're like, stay on the path. And then you get totally disoriented and confused. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but it's beautiful. So the race, the other thing, too, about the race, people haven't done races in outside of America or Canada, but if you haven't raced in Europe or Israel, which is very European, what people don't realize is that like the level of support from the institutions, like the government and stuff like that, and businesses, but especially like the government, is really high.
Yeah.
So they'll close a road in both directions. They'll commit 200 cops to keeping to keeping the course like well marshaled. They'll add barriers and promenades, and they'll just do all the things that they'll build grandstands and they'll do all these things to support a race in a way that I only ever experienced in Europe. It's just a different level of support.
Yeah.
And Israel, man, at least now, is still independent, so it really has this like flagship flagship feel to it. Like it is carrying the Israeli flag for out into the world. So it has there's a real sense of pride in the race that I really appreciated, and a sense of it being a big happening. For a race that maybe a lot of people who are American and listen to your podcast who don't know of it, it's because it's not, local to them. It's if you're in a lot, it's a big deal. Like it's a big deal. In the same way that in Europe, it's Roth is a big deal. It's like these races carry a lot of their happenings, and the community comes out, and the government supports them, and it's really great. It's really awesome to see. I love being a part of it. So that was really cool. And the race itself went pretty well. It was the top American, 5th overall in the half. They also do a full, by the way, which you don't have to do the 20K climb twice.
Yeah.
But the full is like no joke. I mean, I think the winning time was, the winners are some great athletes. I think it was Sergio Marquez from Portugal, and he's, perennially top Ironman guy. And I think he barely broke 10, or went he didn't break 9. I mean, nobody's going fast because the race is that hard. It is, incredibly slow. So, really interesting. So,
yeah, I've heard over the years about how hard it is. It's really rugged.
Yeah, it is. I mean, between the, it's just that the climb out of the water, the climb from the sea up into the plateau is just brutal. And then the bike is just undulating up and down, big up and downs too, not like 50 footers. Like you go down 400 feet, you go up 400 feet, you go down, and just relentless. And and this is the other thing I totally should have mentioned. It's a crazy ass wind. It's like stand you up wind on the bike. It's kind of a small thing to overlook, but the wind is brutal. The wind is like having a lineman pushing on your shoulders against you, or for you, depending on the direction. But the wind makes it really, really hard. Great race though. I mean, all that said, as soon as you don't worry about your time and just worry about doing it, then it's quite good.
I think what's going on there with the terrain is that's a rift valley, a continental plate. The continental plates are pulling apart right there. It just looks like it to me. Okay. And you can usually find those where lakes are long and skinny, all in a row. And that's what you've got. You've got this inlet off the Red Sea, and then the next one up is the Dead Sea, right? And they make a path, one following the other, and then there's another one up north of that. And so that rift valley is pulling apart, and then your bike ride has to go up the sides of these canyon walls and stuff to get up high to get out of that. I mean, that's pretty typical.
I know nothing about geology, so I'm just gonna.
You're gonna agree?
I'm just gonna say, sure, yeah.
If people want to see another one, you can go down almost to South Africa, South Central Africa, and what are the name of these lakes? There's a whole line of lakes all in a row that are that I know for a fact are a rift valley where the continent's pulling apart ever so slowly. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool, dude. That's awesome, man. You go fastest American?
Time. Yep, fastest. Well, I was fastest for the half.
For the half,
obviously. Yeah, I don't know if it was in the full, but I was 5th overall against a really big international field. Tons of international dudes, a lot of actually Israelis too. I think with mandatory military service, you have a pretty fit local population, and there's a lot of triathletes involved in that. there were probably about 5 to 10 elite Israelis, and then maybe another 10 or so international kind of high quality elite, pro dudes, including Massimo. He's really good. He came over and crushed everyone. He's the guy. He took 8th in Bahrain. He's the Italian cyclist turned triathlete.
Yeah,
he's kind of a big deal, for sure. And he just stomped. I beat him out of the water, and then I watched him go by me, and it was remember you're saying you can see forever in the desert?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you get to I got to watch him pulling away from me, for a prolonged period of time as my heart broke. But I'm just kidding. But it was cool to get to watch him ride, because he was on a whole nother level of everybody. He rode through the entire field, and then by the halfway point at the turnaround, I was in 5th maybe, and they were like, he was just catching first, second, and third, and then by the time he got back to the turnaround, he had 10 or 15 minutes on everybody. So he certainly knows how to ride a bicycle, that's for sure. And being an Italian pro cyclist, you don't get to that level without fair amount of ability to ride a bicycle. That was pretty exciting.
Italy has more pro cyclists per square mile than any other country in the world.
Yeah, which is probably why he decided to be a triathlete. But it was probably a really great idea. But that dude freaking hammers on a bike. It's amazing to watch. Really smooth, really steady, which I was surprised. I was expecting him to drop me straight away, and he actually just gradually pulled away
Took
from
his
me.
Time as
super controlled.
Choked you out.
Yeah, exactly. He was really patient but powerful. It was an interesting lesson for everybody who gets kind of emotionally jolted by head-to-head competition. He just was clearly just executing a plan and executing it perfectly. And the fact that he was coming out of the water so far behind was not something he was worried about. He just was doing his thing. There were some really good ITU guys who were there, and they just they're on another level with the swimming.
Right. But still, this guy, because the bike was so hard, this guy won it, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, this race was custom for him. I mean, I think he'd win most flat by half Ironman distance races. He's that good, but in this case, it was even more suited for him. So yeah, that was kind of exciting. And then,
well, what was Israel like? You flew into Tel Aviv?
Oh, so I made a big trip over there because one, I love travel, and I think it's really awesome to do it. And two, I mean, it's such a far trip that when's the next time I'm going to get over there?
Yeah.
And the race was really generous in terms of supporting us. So there's a lot of opportunity. I had a little extra cash just to deal with, to kind of budget towards this. So I did a big trip. We hit Masada, which if anybody knows anything about Masada, it was an ancient palace turned into a fortress by the Jews when they were rebelling against Rome. So to give you some timeline, right? That's about 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And then in Masada, these warriors, these rebels, they never thought they'd be able to get a fortress on top of a mountain with a tiny little snake path that you can walk up, named the Snake Path. And so they were like, oh, the Romans can't get up here. This is impregnable. And the Romans just were Romans about it. So they took 2 years and built a ramp. And then eventually, on the night that they were going to, it's so Roman, right? So at the night that they were going to storm the top of Masada, the rebels executed. They killed each other. They selected 10 people to kill everybody, and then from that they selected one person to kill the other 9, and then from that the last person killed themselves. So rather than being captured, enslaved.
Oh wow! I didn't know. I've never heard
and
that
all
story.
that.
Wow.
Oh yeah, this is a famous part of Jewish
Death
history.
before
And then
capture.
Yeah, and then the Romans were like, okay, we're here, and they just found dead people.
Yeah.
Which was really intense. And actually, it's where the Israeli armed forces get sworn in, is on the top of Masada.
Whoa.
It's amazing. So you go there, and there's actually an ancient palace built by Herod,
yeah.
who built this giant luxury palace as his kind of getaway house. Mm-hmm. And then there's later obviously it was this fortress with all this heavy symbolism and history. And then actually sometime after that, actually some Christian monks during the Holy Crusades or not so Holy Crusades ended up kind of camping out there too. So it's got this it's history on top of history on top of history, which is exactly the theme for all of anybody's visit to Israel, because then you do that, and we also hit the Dead Sea, which is kind of amazing. I think that you'd probably appreciate that a lot because it has a psychedelic nature to it, almost like you can float in weightlessness. So it's very similar to, say, like a sensory deprivation chamber.
Right.
It's so super super salty that you don't sink.
Right.
It's so super salty
you
that
posted
it's
pictures of being there.
Yeah, it's really relaxing. I mean, for sure. And the locals, being the Israelis and others, believe it has a lot of medicinal qualities to it as well, like healing qualities. So there's a lot of spas and kind of an industry around that. It sounds really great. And then we did 3 days in Jerusalem, which is intense. Anybody who follows ancient history, modern history, or current politics,
anything.
So really, anything.
Anybody who follows anything knows about Jerusalem.
No, right, exactly. Jerusalem is like wild. Yeah. And I also grew up with like a Catholic background, so all of this stuff was like part of my kind of childhood, and I had all these and I didn't. So to see all this in like real. See a lot of this stuff kind of first person was fascinating. The other thing that's crazy is that the scope of it, the old city of Jerusalem is 1 kilometer, right? So it's like by 1 kilometer, it's tiny. So, you think in your mind's eye that all this stuff is spread out over this big place. Because you ever watch you ever go to I think this is like the thing I can think of, like when you go to a baseball game and it's the first time you've ever been to a baseball game and you've only ever seen baseball on TV and you go there and you're like, whoa, this is really small. Oh wow, it's like the dude's like right here. Like you expect it to be kind of far away and big, and it just isn't. Like the Western Wall is right under the the Dome of the Rock, which is right like next to the Church of the Centaur, which is where Christians believe that Jesus was executed and then buried. Yeah. So anyway, so it's like very like all of it's like within like seconds of each other. It's which also of course can imagine the endless conflicts that have arisen over the years. But that was pretty amazing and intense to witness. So we visited that. Oh, and then this part was probably the highlight of the trip, which we weren't even expecting, which is we hung out in a Bedouin with Bedouins. For people who don't know who the Bedouins are, they're kind of the American Indians of Israel. They're they're like the oldest indigenous people in some ways, I think. I'm saying that and I may totally be wrong. But the Bedouins have been like wandering the desert as nomadic people for about 7,000 years. And they have their own culture and their own independent customs and stuff like that. And they're really fantastic. So that was really fun. We took a camel tour and we hung out in tents and we drank tea and we heard Bedouin music, and that was really awesome. So the Bedouins are just totally fun. So that was really great. And that was kind of amazing. And we actually visited the occupied area or Palestine or whatever you would call the disputed area. I do not want to get this
all hate mail sent to.
I know, man.
You are wrong
even how you refer
JohnHirsch.org.
I know exactly get into the exact beats of it, but I mean even what you call it is a reflection of what you think about it. And I'm trying to say as neutral as possible. I don't remember, but it was interesting. So we checked that out too because I'd always, it's so. It's so prominent. There was the road we were on got blown up the next day, and we were like, "Whoa!" So if you so you hear about all this stuff in the news, and I was like, I wanted to kind of check it out first person. So that's
so you went to the what'd you call it, the occupied area or the Gaza Strip?
Yeah, right. It's complicated. I forget. This is going to sound kind of.
You actually got into the Gaza Strip? Is that possible?
No, I didn't go in the Gaza Strip. I went to the other part of it. The area between east of Jerusalem, so what's known as the kind of the West Bank area.
Yeah, I've got a map open right now, and I'm trying to figure out there's a town or something called Yada, and I'm wondering if that's where
there's
Yada comes from.
There's a lot of podcasts that I'm sure infinitely better. With dealing with complicated political situations than a triathlon one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave that to some experts out there. But it was certainly as a person who wanted to rocks, who wanted to who was there. It was really, just powerful to see all of this. And then in totality, it just made for an amazing trip. You had this amazing race in this beautiful natural place. Oh, by the way, you also get a free, right outside of a lot, about 30 kilometers north is Kona Park, which has all these Egyptian stuff. So I saw a 5,000-year-old Egyptian temple, and that was amazing. And then also all these Egyptian hieroglyphs, because the Egypt didn't know that was in Egypt back then. So I said that tongue in cheek. But there was all this really cool stuff. So I got to see all these different cultures. It was really, really fascinating.
Yeah, I'm there right now. I'm looking at Timna Park. And
yeah, it's wild. And then right next
Google
door, you actually have Petra. Has anybody ever rolled? Have you ever seen Indiana Jones and Lost Crusade?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that part where they're at the end when they go and they find the Grail, and they're in that the crescent moon.
Oh wait, is Petra where that town that
the rock cave
carved into the side of the walls?
Yeah, it's all that's like a short day trip from a lot.
Did you go there?
It's crazy beautiful. No, I blew it. I should have gone there.
Oh man,
I totally blew it. Yeah, I know. I feel really stupid about that.
You blew
but we didn't have enough time, and we had to make some decisions. Also, I had a lot of training to do, the first week we got there, because I was getting ready for what we ended up doing, which is kind of geographically stupid, is we landed in Tel Aviv, drove 4 hours north, hung out in a lot for a week so I could train, and then hit the road for a week during my taper, and then came back. So, there was actually, you got to take care of business, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. God.
Do you know what I'm saying, son? You got to take care of business. You got to, so.
I'm looking at the scenery around there. It's just so brutal.
It's beautiful. So anyways, I was taking care of my business and training, so I missed out on a couple of things that I really want to do. But I'm hoping to go back next year, so we'll see.
Oh, yeah?
I think it's
cool.
Yeah, I think it's a really great race. I'm kind of tempted to take on the full next year. That's what I'm thinking.
Ooh.
And I really like it in one sense, because training for it was really interesting. It's weather in the Northeast this year was diabolical.
Uh-huh.
So to get ready for the race, I actually raced cross, and I would do these back-to-back cross races. So I'd do an hour riding, right? And then I'd do an hour race, and then I'd do an hour riding, and then I'd do an hour second race.
Mm-hmm.
And so you ended up with this brutal 4 hours of high intensity training. Well, at least 2 of those hours are super hard. And you just see numbers in cross races that you don't see ever. I was probably putting out 700, 800 watts for 30 seconds on this one climb. But you do the climb, I don't know, I maybe did the climb 40 times over the course of the day.
Yeah. That's
it's just wild. So it's because each race is 10 laps, and then you do 10 laps in between. So it's and you're at that really on the river race effort. It's just really awesome. So I really got in great shape doing cross, and then obviously and me and Christine did that ultra where she won.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my ultra debut. I took fourth. Christine Lynch, my lovely fiance, won. Yeah. And that was pretty badass. And it turns out she won with a grade 4 stress fracture in her foot, and she didn't know it. So she's in a giant boot.
Yeah.
Anyways, so getting ready for the race was really fun. I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the process of training for it. So I think that I might try to do it again next year if I can.
Tell me. Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, especially if the Russian economy continues to struggle, because I got incredibly cheap plane tickets to Moscow. It was unbelievable, $600 to fly from New York to Moscow, and then Moscow to Tel Aviv.
Yeah, millions of people can be struggling with their economy, but as long as it services you and your flight schedule, it's good.
Well, in fairness, I was mostly benefiting from the fact their economy is failing due to the fact that they're run by a gangster despot.
Oh, I know. He's just right now. They don't know where he is, and his girlfriend just had a baby. This guy is just out of control, man. Well, he has been forever.
Great? Isn't he great? Terrible. Did you ever see the part where the video where he steals Kraft's ring? The guy from the Patriots. He won the Super Bowl. His team. He owns the Patriots. They won the Super Bowl.
Uh-huh.
They had a Super Bowl ring, and Kraft and Putin just straight up thug gangster stole it. He's like, "Hey, Kraft, give me your ring." Kraft's like, "Okay," and then he's like, "Thanks," and just walks out.
I didn't know that,
dude. He did straight up. And people are always saying, I'm not. Don't want to get overly political, but everyone's like, "Oh, I don't know if this dude would this guy really try to take the Ukraine?" And I'm like,
oh yeah,
dude, I don't know, man. I just saw him jackraft a ring. I think you probably, I think you might. I think you really might.
I think you
if
might.
The dude's going to steal a ring, I'm pretty sure he's cool stealing a country.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
So tell me about the food there.
Israeli food's really good. They have veggies for breakfast. You ever listen to Wu-Tang Clan? That's a song there. We're eating veggies for breakfast. But yeah, they have veggies. Oh yeah,
Wu-Tang from the West Bank.
Yeah.
The Wu Bank. Or Wu-Tang Financial. That makes me think about that.
But no, the food's really good. It's their own blend of Middle Eastern food. It's like
hummus. Do they have hummus? Do they do hummus?
Yeah, a lot of hummus, a lot of falafel, a lot of salads with cucumbers and tomato and shushaka. I get a lot of that, which is this like delicious tomato vegetable dish that you dip bread in, like really delicious breads. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fantastic. Really healthy, really delicious, really vegetable heavy, which I really liked. And they have very good coffee. Coffee's really good, really strong. I like that part. So yeah, the food's fantastic. Especially as a vegetarian, like we eat really well. They also have a lot of pasta. I think they have a lot of Italian influence, either because of geographical proximity or the history of the Crusades. But for whatever reason, there's a lot of Italian, which is, if you're training and racing, it's pretty cool. But they have everything. I mean, it's a really international place. So they have Japanese food, they have whatever.
I'm really hungry right now.
Good seafood. Oh man, because you didn't go to pie day, dude. If you had rolled with me, you would have had 8 different pieces of pie, and you'd be totally sick.
It just made me really freaking. I'm wandering around my kitchen looking for something to eat right now, so I can insult my audience by eating on the podcast, like I usually do.
I'm drinking coffee. I don't know if they can hear that. I hope that. I used to drive. So
what about the people? Now I've heard Israelis can be really tough. Like their mindset is like, man, there's no such thing as being a pussy over there. Like, I'm just saying.
Did you just drop the word pussy?
No, like they're just freaking tough, man.
Like a feminist topic about 50 women. It's like, yeah, dude, we're total feminists except for when we're making derogatory statements. That's my exacerbated sound.
Like a cat.
I hope that's loud enough on that. I hope that comes on the recording.
The podcast got to be
deep, angry exhale at you.
Podcast has to be slightly offensive so people listen, like, what is he going to say next? That's like the Howard Stern thing.
Our experience with the Israelis were that they were really, really friendly. The people in the lot are kind of it's like a beach town, so it's kind of like super laid back. Everyone's like, hey, man, we're down here in the lot. It's cool. Like, really? Hey, let's go ride skateboards. Yeah, it's very
like that.
A lot's cool. Like a beach community, so it's like rolling to like just super chill. It's like SoCal, It's like Israel's version of Southern California. It's just like everyone's mellow, nobody's in a rush.
I've seen some surfing videos, and then maybe it was from a lot, but like people surf on the shore of Israel.
Yeah, that's just north of Tel Aviv. We actually didn't get there.
Yeah,
that was another one of those things I really wanted to do and just missed it because I love surfing, but unfortunately that didn't happen. The other, so the Bedouins are the nicest people in the world. They actually have a entire culture based around being friendly. So like the whole like
it's like Jamaica.
Yeah, it's like maybe I don't know. I've never been to Jamaica, but like when you go to like the Bedouins, they're like, "Oh, you're here. Let's start the making tea to welcome you ceremony," and then they like. It involves like a big drum thing, like they're smashing smashing the coffee beans into a container that's like both grinding the coffee and drumming, and that tells like the other people like, oh, we have visitors, and like then they come and then everyone hangs out and like.
So it's like waking up in the morning to a coffee grinder, and how everybody's like, I want to get up.
It's really cool. So you walk in and they're like roasting the beans in front of you, like on a little fire. And then you're like, hey, and they're like, hey, and then they like throw the roasted right in front of you, which is exactly how you're supposed to drink coffee, by the way. You're supposed to roast it like immediately.
I've heard
it dies actually. So much better this way. And then they throw it into the grinder, right, which is their drum. And the dude's like beating out this song, right? He's playing a song which grinds the coffee. And then people roll in, they're like, oh, hey, we have visitors. And then it's like rude if you don't have 3 cups. So you have to you sit in like in a tent with like on the they have like little cushions on the floor, and like you just hang out and talk, and it's nice, and spend like that's like a culture of kindness and like warmth and bringing people in and making them feel comfortable, and it's really beautiful. And then
I gotta ask a question about drumming on the coffee. Do you think that how like Tibetan monks can meditate and then realign the crystals of water?
I didn't actually know that.
Oh yeah. So, do you think that them banging while singing happy songs on the coffee beans realigns the molecules of the caffeine to make it better, and everybody that drinks it is happier?
I mean, I know everybody who drinks it's happier,
right.
And I know that it's certainly very meditative to listen to them do it. Mm-hmm. I don't know about the molecular level stuff, but I'm not a scientist, so
okay.
You'd have to probably ask, somebody who claims to be a scientist, who's actually a hippie. I don't know.
I'm no geographist.
I'm no geographist. So yeah, so that was my experience. Was that like people are very, very happy in Jerusalem? There's like, it was really interesting. We got there at Friday evening, which, if people know anything about Judaism, is the beginning of the Sabbath.
Okay.
So we got there and everybody was just gone. I mean, it was
is that like every Friday?
Yeah, every Friday is the Sabbath right? It's like how Christians celebrate Sunday is the Sabbath, right? So for in Judaism, it starts Friday night and goes to Saturday night. So for like the first 24 hours we were in Jerusalem, everybody was really mellow and very pious, right? Nobody was driving. People were walking everywhere, mostly to and from religious services. At least the Jews who we saw more prominently, who were in the Muslim part of the city. So it was very mellow, very chill. And then so we were there for 24 hours, and it was just very like pensive and really calm, and everybody was in a very like religious state, which was kind of not like in a state of mind. Mm-hmm. And it was really nice. Like everybody was very chill. Right. And then Saturday night came, and we didn't know this, but our hotel was in the like hopping part of West Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. And next thing I knew, there was like young people everywhere. And this was like 11, 12 o'clock at night. And there are like, I watched two people do a breakdance war. Like hardcore breakdance war.
Wait, what point did you step into the time machine into Brooklyn?
Dude, it was so cool. And like, so then next thing I knew, it was like, but there was this like static, not static, like frantic, ecstatic energy on like Saturday night in West Jerusalem. Like everyone's out, everyone's hanging out, everybody's psyched. Everyone's like recharged from the day off, right?
Oh yeah.
And everybody's like, wow! It was really cool, but everybody was super friendly. Like, I think because of the idea of mandatory military service, and because, obviously it's a very tense political situation, right. You would think that on like a day-to-day basis, there would be like, people would be badass, or as you said, they would not be pussies, but that's super offensive.
John Hirsch.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd say that. So I'm not going to say it that way, because I think that's, kind of messed up. So, but my experience was actually the day in and day out, experiences was everybody was unbelievably friendly. And that being said, right, I live in New York City. Uh-huh. So my threshold for hostility, anger, tension, it's like kind of like off the charts, right? Yeah. Like I could probably roll through Beirut and be like, oh man, I'm so glad to be someplace where people are nice. So, like after living in New York City, like
when you live in New York City, you go to Beirut for a break.
Yeah, I mean, especially like after the murder of Eric Gardner, New York was tense, man. Like, everyone's looking at each other like, hey, are we about to have are we just going to start this? This is going to just go off.
Are you looking?
Like, this is kind of a powder keg. Like, this shit is not right. Oops, you're gonna have to.
Whoa.
Sorry, I dropped the S word. Anyways, people were just like, whoa, this is tense. Like, New York City was, when I left, New York City was really tense. It was, so, I mean, so to me, like, rolling through Jerusalem was like, finally.
Well, it just goes to show, I mean, just anywhere you can have unrest at the snap of the fingers, right?
Yeah, it's...
anywhere. Like Ferguson just had the cops shot by somebody. And they don't even know. The last I heard, they don't even know who did it. They're trying to figure out who did it.
I mean,
but then
I think that in both.
How do you get cops
America,
to figure it out when no one wants to listen to them?
There is this like underlying hostility, right? Like the Israeli conflict goes back, 50 years in the modern era and 2,000 years over time. The problems in our country, the racial tension and stuff like that, is not exactly new, right? So
no, but it is pretty old.
Flare up because
back
there's
a few hundred
history
years
of problems. Yeah, I mean, there's some long, kind of crazy tension. But anyways, I found my experience in a lot, especially, but actually all over Israel, to be really pleasant. People are really, really friendly.
Yeah.
And if you ever get there and you get a chance to do like a Bedouin thing, I would strongly recommend that too. Because the Bedouins are just like a whole other level of awesome.
One of my dad's friends, who we know pretty well, he worked in Saudi Arabia, I think, and went out into the desert until he found the Bedouin community and drove like 2 days or something like that.
Yeah.
I think there's Bedouins in Saudi Arabia. And then, or maybe he was in a different part of the Middle East, and then stayed with them for a few days, and then turned around and came back, and he said, yeah, they're so friendly that just showed up, and they just started feeding them, and they hung out, and he pulled out this coffee grinder, now that I think of it, and showed it to us. It was like, they gave me this, and it was a metal coffee grinder, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. They said, yeah, just gave it to me. They wouldn't let me not take it.
It's just I mean, it's amazing, right? Like you think that like we're so used to kind of the American Western kind of greed culture. Like it's kind of amazing to think that there could be an entirely different paradigm where like the most important thing isn't making money. It's taking care of each other.
Yeah,
it's kind of amazing.
Yeah,
travel's really good. Like for people who don't travel, you don't get out of whatever it is that is the dominant culture that you're in usually. And so going on a trip, and triathlon's a great reason for that, right? Like going on a trip to explore is just fantastic. You get outside of that, you get exposed to things that you normally don't, and it makes you think and reflect. And maybe it doesn't change how you live or change your beliefs, but it might. But even if it doesn't, at least it gives you like some perspective, which is really great.
The one I like the most about traveling away from at least an American big city, but a lot of big cities is, and then going somewhere else completely different, is the realization that you don't have to live at that fast of a pace.
Yeah.
And then
dude, you want to slow down?
Is a shock.
Go hang out with Bedouins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one thing that like me and Christine immediately experienced with the Bedouins was like everything was mellow. Everything was intentional. Everything was at a pace that was so much more manageable. And we really loved that actually. And it's also
well, my brother lives in downtown Chicago, which it's a lot like New York. It can be really confrontational and arguing and yelling. It's just how you get along. And insulting is a hello, And a good insult is that's how you show somebody that you like them, that you took the time to craft a good insult. Yeah, and then and he went on his honeymoon to, I don't know, south of France or Italy or something like that for a couple of weeks. And I talked to him like a week after he got back, and he said he was still trying to readjust back to the Chicago pace of life. It's just
yeah, it's definitely a rude awakening, especially like I have a part-time law job as a public defender, and that's just like they call it an adversarial process. I mean, it's meant to be combative, Like we go in there, and it's just it's really hard to like make that transition emotionally. So you want to talk about Spain real quick?
Yeah, let's do Spain.
So took a couple of weeks off after Israel, healed up, rested up, traveled back, and then was off to my Spain training camp, which you've been to. And we had actually record numbers.
So I don't go, and then a whole lot more people come.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to say because, people hear so much great things about it that they decide to come.
That's true.
So we had, 14, 15 people in the first camp, 20 in the second camp. We live in this giant, beautiful corteo on a farm, a working farm in Spain. This actually is an upgrade from what you didn't know. This year we finally made friends with the guy who is in charge of the farm. We made better friends. And we were always friends. And he was like, dude, just pick whatever you want. So we had from farm to table food this year.
Ooh.
Literally, like, the potatoes in the ground, the potatoes on my plate within, like, an hour.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It was wild.
Yeah.
And then we did all
and
the
that farmhouse is really old, too, right? It's it's
all stone. 17th century. We live in a 17th century, it's called a corteo. It's basically like a giant compound, but it houses everybody. Really nice, ancient, or not ancient, but, like, antique, kind of beautiful, rustic.
Like the walls are real thick because they were built.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It keeps it cool.
Like if anybody, it's quaint. It's like old. It's beautiful. It has character. It's really nice.
Yeah.
But it's also very nice. I mean, it's like nice accommodations, like 3-star accommodations. And then we did our thing. We did 3 swims Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We did about a week long. We did the highest climb in Europe or Southern Europe, which is 32 kilometers, 6,000 feet, to the Pico de Valletta, which is the roof of the Iberian Peninsula. So it's the tallest mountain in mainland Spain and Portugal. And we had a health food chef, Christine Lynch, who's a certified holistic health food counselor, as well as a certified yoga instructor. And we were really good this year about making sure that we did stuff every day besides just swimming, biking, and running. So we did core, we did strength training, we did yoga, and we did these like long epic rides, 2 to 4 hour rides. It was great. We had the normal, we had everything from like top athletes there to people who were very, very novice, and we broke it into 3 different groups with different send-off times, and we had, we have a support van, and it's just really great. And actually, registration's open now. You can visit us at stronglikebulltraining.com, and it's only $985 for all that, which is insanely cheap.
So how many days?
Like if you look at any of these other camps, they're like $2,000, $3,000.
Yeah.
But you get video swim analysis, you get, you get descending lessons, you get,
you get
awesome
descending
training.
lessons, all right.
Yeah, we do some serious climbing and descending. You get to train in epic places, epic place. It's where a lot of the pro European teams go to, and you get to visit southern Spain, which is amazing. Like, we went and grabbed a coffee at a. What's that?
What's the name of the Moorish castle that we went to?
Oh, the Alhambra. Yeah, in Granada.
The Alhambra. Man, it's that is unbelievable.
So amazing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just it's fantastic. I mean, it's one of the 8 wonders of the ancient world. I mean, the Alhambra is beautiful. The history, the architecture, and I really know a lot of it. There's actually an ancient Iberian/Celtic temple right by our place too that we found, and so like the amount of the history and stuff is really quite. It's quite massive, and I know a lot of it because I've been going there for 10 years. This was our 10-year anniversary of the camp. So I have a lot of that, and I'm a real buff for that stuff, and I do a lot of reading, and I go before the camp starts, and I try to I go to school every year there to take Spanish classes and learn about the culture and stuff. So I'm a real a fan of the place. I love it, and I try to convey a lot of that to the athletes that come. So, it ends up being very easy to train very hard because your mind is very occupied, whether it's natural scenery or the cultural experience that you're taking in. So it really combines the best aspects of training with the best aspects of vacationing. And then the other thing, too, is it's real Lonely Planet type stuff, which is to say you're going to get off the beaten track, right? Like when I went to Israel, I saw the same 10 things that everybody sees in Israel, and that was just by, except for when I was training. When I was training, I was seeing all this really interesting stuff that I never would have come across, but for the fact that I was out in the middle of nowhere, swimming, biking, and running.
Right.
So it's really great to explore a place as an athlete and as because you do see things that you'll never see, if you're just kind of doing the tour bus thing. So I really want to tell everybody, sign up now. We're running a crazy $200 off early reg thing or $300 off. But so right now it's under $1,000. And all you have to do is put down a $300 deposit. It's on Bike Reg. If you go to bikeReg.com, type in under the search engine Strong Like Bull training or Strong Like Bull, probably. Is it good enough? And the camp will come up, sign up, come with us. You will not regret it. It is awesome. And Brett, you came, isn't it? So I think you probably agree.
What people should know is that it is beautiful. And it's both hilly and relatively rolling flat, depending on the ride that you go on, and mountainous. And and the support van makes it super easy. So, because on my second day there, it was so windy and I was tired. Because I was chasing your ass up the side of a mountain one day.
Yeah, by the way, the mountain's called El Torcal. It's famous.
Yeah. And the tour, the Giro, the Italian Giro goes through there?
No.
Spain. Tour of Spain.
Right.
Italian.
It was actually the Ruta del Sol is the local tour that has all the top pro teams that takes place, and they do that climb, and the Tour of Spain also does the climb.
Yeah, so it's really cycling historic, and it's beautiful, and the rides are they're really well supported, and so you can be any level. And you can be a good cyclist, and like, for example, on day 2 or day 3, and I was on my tri-bike with deep dish wheels and stuff, and the crosswinds were so bad in this one little canyon that it just happened to be that day. It was like that. And I was getting blown off my bike, and my legs were toasted from the day before, and I said, I'm done. And I just sat down, and the next thing I knew, there's the van, and I hopped in, and there was another guy in there, and the van was just going along picking up people that were like, okay, that was plenty hard for today. And then you go back, and you go back to the house, and then like eat, and there's limited connectivity to the outer world. There is enough. There's Wi-Fi and all that, but it's like, the whole atmosphere of the camp is you're there to relax and not get too caught up in everything going on, and then the food, and then it's a farmhouse. It's away from town, but it's like a 10-minute drive, and you're in town, and there's a swimming pool nearby. So all around, it's like it was really, really cool. You found a really cool place to put on a camp.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and the fact that there's so many other top European pros and stuff that train there makes me realize that I really stumbled upon something great 10 years ago by going there. But yeah, it's been really fun putting it on, and we've created a bit of a community out of it, and I really like that it like everyone after the ride, we sit around, we do a big family style dinner every night, and everyone's telling stories about their ride and their training and how things went, and talking a lot of it's just a lot of camaraderie, and I think that's really missing in a lot of camps. Like, I don't think as many camps bring people together. A lot of times it's, the meals are separate or whatever. And this is like very much about building a kind of a community team kind of feel to it, at least for that, while we're all working together and training together. And I love that.
Yeah,
I really love that. It also
is very much like you're on a pro cycling team, right? You have a day of training, and then everybody eats together. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone trains together, then everyone eats together, and everyone hangs out. It's great. Oh, the only other thing I was going to say is obviously we're going March 1st to the 15th this year, and it is terrible weather here. So if you just suffered through a terrible winter, you want to go to my camp, because you will suffer through a little bit of bad weather, then you'll get on a plane, then you'll train, and then when you come back, you will be way fitter than everybody else because they were on trainers. If you were stuck in the Northeast or the northern half of this country this year, you were not riding your bike. And if you have any early races or early Ironmans like Placid or Challenge Atlantic City or, Wildflower, or when any of the events that are really May, June, even July, you will not have enough time to get all your cycling in if you don't go someplace warm. So why not go someplace warm that's a real cultural experience, put on by really cool people, and put on by people who do it as a labor of love. Like Strong Like Bull, the people who run it, me, Christine, and Sean, we've never made a dime off it. We'll put it on because we love it, and we want to be there. So join us. All right. Now, do you want to talk about something controversial?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate controversy.
Whatever. You live for it.
Well, let me ask you.
What?
Okay, so let me ask you this: what do you think about 50 Shades of Women to Kona?
Okay. One, I think there ought to be equal men and women.
Okay.
Right, because all the world's biggest races and the Olympics and stuff do that.
Fair enough.
And they ought to catch up with the times. And the other thing that I think that is being done wrong is this tactic. I think this is a tactic of WTC, the owning company of Ironman,
right?
Where they say, well, we're going to put a panel together and discuss it and review everything. I think that is bullshit. I think it's the same tactic that, like energy companies wanting to not do anything about global warming. They're like, well, we need to get more data about this, and like, tobacco companies or sugar companies. Apparently sugar was the original tobacco company. They did all the they did all the, well, we got to investigate this, and in the meantime, what they're doing is just stalling and stalling and stalling. And I remember one time on Twitter, I posted, wouldn't it be easier and faster just to arrange the slots so there's the same number of men and women, instead of all of this wrangling and herding of cats of different point systems and all the worry and fear of like what people think and all this other stuff. Just even it out, and it's way less stressful and makes more sense, and everybody's happy instead of the stalling. And I have something else. I forgot what it was. I'm so freaking angry about it. And I think the first thing that women's board should have done when they got appointed to a women's panel of what to do about this.
Uh-huh.
I think the first thing they should have said, "Oh yeah, we so want to have this panel, and yeah, put me on it." Like Hillary Biscay's on it, and I don't know who else is on it, but let's yeah, sure, we'll do this, And then the first thing they do is they meet for like 2 days, and then they hold their own press announcement and say that having a panel to decide if women should have the same rights as men is a stalling tactic, and they disband themselves. Like immediately, because I remember in civil rights and world history and stuff, one of the things that Gandhi did was called what was it? Non-participation. That was the first stage of some of the stuff that he did to get freedom for Indians from Britain. Was like, we're not playing your game. We're just not going to participate. We're not going to buy your stuff. We're not going to do anything until we get our country back. And we're going to march to the sea and get salt. And we're going to do what we want to do. And we're not going to play by your rules. And that's what I think the women ought to do. All this pandering and begging for slots is just like it's playing along with the game, and they ought to stand up and say, we're not doing this, and they just ought to boycott it or something.
Well, yeah, I have to say, in the interest of full disclosure, I haven't done a WTC race last year, and I haven't done one. I won't do one this year, and I only did one the year before that, and then the year before that I didn't do any. So I think as a pro, I kind of look at the whole totality of the WTC and how they treat us, and I've decided that they're not good partners for pro racing. I think they treat us very poorly. So one of the things that I think is so interesting about this is that even if they cave, we'll have spent a year and a half or whatever talking about gender equality, which is a notable thing, but that's actually one of my 10 grievances with the WTC. So I think this whole thing is a really great, they're eventually going to, quote, do the right thing, and then they're going to look like they're good, and like we listen to you pros, I still want my $750 back for having to join their pro membership thing for the right to do their races to promote their company. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's like, we're not even talking about that issue. We're not talking about the fact that there used to be 100 spots for men at Kona. Now we're down to 50, or a whole list of grievances that, or the fact that they don't pay 10 deep, or the fact that they don't pay out very much at all, or the fact that they, do there's just any number of things that just make them terrible for pros. So the fact that they're now like, we're now hyper-focused on this one thing, which we will win, I think. I think ultimately it's the right thing that will happen. Yeah. It's still kind of like, I think we'd be amiss to say, oh, see, the WTC is totally pro-friendly. Oh, the WTC did a good job with see, the WTC is like, they're down with pros. They're down with communication. It's not. It's like they jacked 10 things. If they give one thing back, that doesn't make them good guys.
Right.
The other thing that, so I think, I think the other, so I think as a tactic in that sense, it's brilliant. See, it's like, oh my God, see, we capitulated on something.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. This is tactics on their part.
Exactly. No, I agree. It's really frustrating.
People are so focused on getting their slots and working to get their slots. I'm like, this is freaking ridiculous. This is like working for black people to get us to not have to sit in the back of the bus. You know what I mean?
It's really the gender equality thing is really offensive, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't be outraged by it. All I'm saying is, we're going to be totally outraged about that, but we're not going to be outraged at the fact that they jacked all the pro money out of 5 different races this year, right?
Oh,
so,
I know, right?
Ironman Placid, a total classic, is no longer a pro race, right?
Yeah.
Or this whole movement, so that they, or the pro membership fees, or the pro membership. I mean, that's like they basically. I mean, it's the whole thing is just very anti-pro. Yeah. And what's great is you don't have to do their races anymore, pros. Like, Challenge is great. They're putting up tons of money. They're paying 10 deep. Yeah. They have races that are on par with or better than the WTC.
Right.
I mean, Quasi is in Connecticut is an amazing event.
They need to have races in Texas. I want a race in Texas so bad.
Same with I did Challenge Atlantic City. Yeah. It was a fantastic race. I did, and anybody who knows anything about Challenge Roth is one of the great moments in all of sport, in any endurance sport. Right. Challenge Roth is as good as any endurance event out there. It's as good as the New York City Marathon. It's as good as the it's just
insane.
It's
awesome.
Just 100. They have like 100,000, 200,000. It's just an enormous event, and so this like hyper focusedness on the Ironman and the MDOT and the WTC. I think it's a mistake for pros, because ultimately they're really not good partners for us. And chasing, and like the point system itself, you alluded to, it's a total disaster for pros. It has them racing way more than they should. It's not good for their health. It's not good for their pocketbook, because they're flying around. They're trying to get all these points, and it's stopping them. It was designed to stop them from doing these other races and to only do WTC races. So then they're like, hey, now that you have to do WTC races, we're going to jack the money out of them. So now if you're a pro, you're flying to all these races for payouts that are both tiny and only 5 or 6 deep, right? Mm-hmm. And you're paying them money for the privilege of doing it. And it's like, pros, why are you doing this?
It's insanity.
It is. And here's
it's like an abusive relationship, it's like the weird thing is there's something about it that is very much like an abusive relationship, where it tends to lure the athlete in somehow, some way.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. The WTC is a for-profit, economically rational actor, right?
Right.
Insofar as like ethics aren't really rational, like bottom line profit is rational. So they're just trying to make as much money as possible.
Right.
Pros aren't actually trying to make as much money as possible. Pros are trying to have the best experience they can as an athlete, the same way age groupers are.
Right.
Pro athletes have more in common with age group athletes than they do with business. And what ends up happening is that pro athletes, just an age groupers, you should be able to understand this and relate to pros. They want to compete. They want to compete against each other. They want to compete on the biggest stage. They want to chase their dreams. And in that sense, it's the obligation in some ways of the sport to not exploit that. And unfortunately, the sport itself is owned by a company that does not have any problem exploiting that.
Right.
And is using that to exploit them. And I think that's that's really tragic. And we don't have a union, and we should. Mm-hmm. And it's a real, and we, and that's a big problem.
So
and then
you know something about unions. So what are...
I do. I was a labor organizer, for those of you who don't know my personal bio.
So for the pros or wannabe pros out there, or want to organize something, what are the steps? Hold on. Every neighbor in my yard, every neighbor around me has decided to mow their yard all at once. Okay. And I worked in a union in Chicago when I worked construction. And I made
I'm actually in a union at the moment. I'm in the UAW.
I made $18 an hour. I made almost a livable wage working my ass off out there. Mm-hmm. And then I came back to Texas, which is not a union-friendly state, and was doing the same job for like $4 an hour, which totally taking advantage, or whatever, it was like $6 or $8 an hour. Totally taking advantage of the migrant labor force. And then, so what's your, and I had to quit. I couldn't do it. It wouldn't pay my bills. And so what are the first steps? What does it look like for triathletes if you were to try to get a triathlete union together, pro triathlete?
Right. So if I was going to do it, I mean, was a labor organizer, so this is kind of what I did. You need to get if I was organizing any workforce, right, what you want to do is get the people who are the most well-respected, right? So we need some of the big names, right? I think Chrissy Wellington was a very good spokesman on some level for athletes' rights. I know she wasn't trying to unionize us, but she did a good job as a leader in the sport of taking principled stands in favor of pros. Right. And I think we need to get, so that needs to happen. Of course, one of the things that's happened, right, is that the Ironman went and bought up some of those people, right? Like Craig Alexander now works for Ironman. Right. He's still racing, but he's on the, he's on the payroll. So it's hard because you don't.
That's a strategy in itself, right there.
Oh no, I'm sure it was intentional. Right? So, by bringing in some of those people.
Is it true that Putin has disappeared and now working for WTC?
I mean, we can't say it's true or not true, right? So we could go Fox, right? You just ask the question, right? Yeah. Is Putin secretly masterminding a plot to ruin pros, jack all their money, and will we end up in a gulag with the other former business capitals of industry in Russia?
Right.
And
then mistakenly put up a picture of Obama when you say all this.
Right, exactly.
I go, oh, sorry.
Right. I mean, we're just asking the question.
Yeah.
We're just asking the question.
Yeah, just asking the question.
Is the WCC intentionally preventing unionization and leadership and change by co-opting the most prominent names in the sport? I mean, I don't know. I just asked the question. Yeah. So I didn't make a definitive statement. Anyways, but I think that's a problem. I think that's where it would need to come from. I think that there needs to be a real concerted effort. And then I think the other thing that's happened is there's been attempts to try to do this once before, or many times before, but they've never actually gone to a major union and said to the UAW, hey, UAW, we want to join your larger organization and have the resources to organize. Because with that, we would have lawyers, we would have union organizers, we would have, we wouldn't just be a website or, we would actually be we would have a lot of ability for a prolonged.
So what would be the downside
to really unionize
of a union? They'd have to pay union fees.
I mean, union dues though aren't actually a downside, right? Because you only pay union dues after you ratify a contract. You only ratify a contract if it makes more than you were making before, minus the union dues, right? So if everybody gets $100 bump up, right? I'm just using a really round number. Or $1,000 bump up, and union dues are $100. You're $900 better off. That's the only way you'd ratify having a union. If not, you just say, "Oh, yeah."
Now, could Ironman say no union athletes?
No,
or is that illegal?
Can't. I mean, you can't. That's illegal. You can't discriminate against unions. It's not. It's an unfair labor practice. If if your workforce wants to unionize, you have to.
Now, could the union
play ball? But they would. I mean, they would probably. Who knows what they do in response in terms of fighting back? I don't know.
Could the
it's a really weird marketplace. So,
could the union demand that there be equal slots for women at Kona?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And or what?
You could absolutely organize that. That would be one of the things that would be very easy as a collective bargaining agreement to do if there was ever a real union.
How does a union? The union says, give us equal slots. I'm not so big on the 50, for women. I'm just more on it being equal. So what?
Right, I understand.
Yeah, and so what they would say, give us equal slots for women, or what?
Well, no, I mean, it would be part of a bargaining process, right? I mean, ultimately, everybody has to kind of work together to make the events and stuff happen, right? And everybody always talks about unions and strikes, but in my experience, strikes are extremely, extremely rare.
Yeah,
there's a million things, but it's a last resort. There's a million different things that can happen between the time that you reach an impasse in a bargaining, whether it's a PR release thing, or whether it's a public pressure thing, or whether it's just all these different tactics, whereas people usually come to agreements. I've been in union for 10 years, and I've never, in my law job, my office is actually organized under the United Auto Workers, which is a little funky because we're lawyers, but whatever. The parent unions are not really big, and they cover a whole host of workforces, and we've never been on strike ever. I mean, we've had, in 12, I guess I've been there 12 years. We've had 6 contracts, and we've never had a strike. We never even have a threat of a strike. We just, there's been some tension, and there's been some there's been some workplace action, but none of them are actually strikes. I mean, that's such a last resort. It's very rare to see workers actually striking, because usually even the threat of a strike usually gets everybody to work it out, It's kind of like being in a relationship, you're like, I'm going to break up with you. It's like, okay, let's talk. Like everybody kind of wants the same thing ultimately, which is for it to succeed. So, well, maybe that's not true in relationships. But it is true in workplaces. So it would be like one possibility. But I mean, we're getting kind of like fanciful here. It is ridiculous.
I think the athletes are young, and a lot of them are went straight into this field without having real work experience. A lot. Yeah,
no, it's true.
And so they don't know. How a lot of times, if they knew how or what was available, then I think what WTC likes is to keep them tired and keep them isolated.
Yeah, and listen, we do that on our own. You have to train extremely hard to be a professional
and keep them competitive with each other, right? So then they don't. Absolutely. It's almost impossible for them to organize as a group.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, and they like that.
You're seeing a little bit. You are seeing, though. This is interesting. You are seeing more teams forming because there's actually a really like I see the U.S. Pro Tri Team as a great example of this. They're fantastic at pooling resources, right? So they come together, and rather than 10 guys having to chase a bike sponsor, one guy chases a bike sponsor, and they get 10 of them. Right. So all of a sudden, once I know there's like Andreas Raylard's on a team, like those teams have actually start bringing people together. And the more of those, I think the better, because they'll start having leverage too, right? Like Timex, Timex is a sponsor of Ironman, or was forever, and they had a pro team, and that gave them leverage, and the athletes that were on that team had a kind of sweet deal. So at least some of them did. So you have these, from what I know, which is limited, but I knew some of the guys on there. And so you have these opportunities for organizing kind of like at the grassroots level, and then hopefully building into something bigger. But it's true. And on the other thing too is that because the turnover is really quick, there's not a lot of pro triathletes who have the kind of legacy that I do. I'm not legacy, longevity. I don't have much of a legacy, but I do have a lot of longevity. I've seen the sport change a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember what it used to be like and how much worse it is in some ways for pros right now.
Yeah.
And if you're just coming in, this is just the status quo, right? You're like, oh yeah, well, of course I pay Ironman $1,000 every year.
The back of the bus looks great. Looks nice.
Yeah. So it's kind of, so in some ways it's kind of a problem. But
so Brett Sutton wrote an article.
That's what they should do. This isn't, I'm actually getting near the end of my career, so I'm not going to be a part of any of this, and I'll miss out on it. But I wish all the.
Oh, you have all this time to organize a union.
Actually, probably could.
Yeah. Give Wellington a call.
But I do want to race a little. I do want to race a little longer. Anyways, yeah.
Listen to what Brett Sutton said. Did you read his article that he wrote? His blog post?
Which one?
Well.
Yeah,
he's a
perfect example of somebody who has who's really cool, has a lot of who's organized a lot of really great athletes, and so he could be a force for some of this too as well.
First off, he's hired somebody to correct his writing. So, because remember, he used to post stuff on Twitter that just did not make any sense at all. He had to have like a Sutton translator. Do you remember that? It was terrible. But now that he's got somebody that's cleaning up what he's writing, it is so amazing. This guy's brilliant.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and he went from sounding crazy to sounding like just what people have always said, that he's really smart and insightful. So he said, with the power of this, that people aren't grasping the full power of the 50 women to Kona grouping and hashtagging and what's going on with this. That WTC is going to have to submit to the power of this group, and he's saying while they're at it, the people behind it need to grab this, horse by the reins, or whatever you want to say, your local colloquialism, and say, okay, we'll give back some of the slots. We'll do 30 slots, men and women, instead of 50 or something like that. But what we want now is fair treatment of the pros, and if you qualify because going to Kona, you end up poorer than if you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for most pros, right? So you qualify for Kona, then you get a $3,000 bonus, qualification bonus, a $1,000 travel expense check, and 3 nights paid accommodation at Kona, and get treated like a real pro.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair and relevant. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great place to start. The only thing I would say in addition to that is, this is the problem that the last time we organized was, which is you had people looking out for themselves. So Brett's got a bunch of people who make it to Kona every year, right?
Uh-huh.
So he's like, hey, we should do these things for my people. And then what ends up happening is people say, okay, well, that's cool, but what about these people? What about this people?
Right. And then
what about the secondary pros? What about... Yeah, and it ends up being really decisive. So he's saying, hey, they should do this and they should do that. I totally agree. But what you originally asked was like, okay, let's talk about like what a union would look like, and that has to be inclusive of all pros.
Right.
And that's the only thing. And it has to be a top down or bottom up, but it has to include everybody. So issuing like 1 or 2 specific demands is definitely going to help the people it helps, but it's not a union. That's the only difference, right? It's like, they might win this concession, they might win that concession, and I hope they do, because it's going to help, people who are pros, and I want to see them helped. But it's not, unfortunately, it's not an opportunity to make when you start listing demands, right? You can start. There's no reason to stop at just, the 3 or 4 that you care about most. Which, Brett Sutton has a very specific agenda based on, every single one of those demands is easily traced back to what his athletes, to his own economic interests, right? These are my people, and I want to help them. So,
but I also think it's kind of the standard for, maybe not the qualification bonus, but it is the there are world championships. But like a travel packet to get there.
Mm. Yeah,
like most pros don't get or no pros get a travel.
They do if they race for challenge. They got a
right. If you race for challenge, you do.
Yeah, when they won, the winner of Challenge AC got a trip to all expensive paid trip to Bahrain for their half championships, and they do that in a number of venues.
Yeah.
If you win, last year, if you won a race, you got invited. You got a ticket and accommodations to their Bahrain race, which I guess was like kind of their de facto championships.
I remember when I found out this, I was so naive, like we all are beginning in triathlon. Somebody said, this is like 10 years ago for me, hey, you do good enough, you could qualify for Kona. Or I was asking somebody, I don't know.
Right.
And I said, oh wow, that's cool. Okay, so you get to go to Hawaii to race, because you qualified. Yeah. Well, cool. So they pay for it and everything for you to go? No.
Right. No, in fact, you have to pay them, and you have to write the check right there.
Pay
and you have to pay
them. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the best. I don't know, like marketing or pyramid or something like that scheme. I forgot what you would call it.
Hysterical.
They've created a game where you got to pay to, if you win, you got to pay more to get your trophy. It's
it's true. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. So like my ideal situation, I'd like to go to Hawaii on my own and like see Hawaii. And I'd love to go to Kona and be in Kona, but I'd really like to qualify for Kona, and then that way I say that I'm that good, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's an easy, characteristic to define yourself with. You're that good,
right?
But then not go and save my money, and then go to somewhere else that I really want to go.
I'm conflicted. I mean, as somebody who qualified for Kona and went as an age grouper, it was the last age group race I did. I get it. Like it's the gold standard. It's a goal. It's a challenge, and everybody should have goals. Everybody should accept challenges. People with talent should chase after them. I get all that. Just unfortunately, when one person's dream is another person's business, whether it's a pro or age grouper, it gets kind of screwy. Like to one, it's like one person's religion and another person's business. It's like. You're not, one person's thinking clearly and rationally and economically, and the other person's chasing their heart.
Right.
And, you end up with a lot of exploitation, whether it's like you just mentioned, like how it kind of shakes out on an age group level, or whether it's, how it shakes out on a pro level. it's not.
Yeah, I couldn't believe
the sport isn't run.
You win a slot to Kona, and then you got to pay $800 whatever the very next day to go, and the flight and all, and then everything else. And it's like, what am I winning here exactly?
Yeah, actually, the first time I qualified for the Half World Championships as a pro, I turned it down. I was like, wait, I have to pay for this? They're like, yes, right now.
I almost qualified. It was in Austria. It is in Austria this year, and I came within a few slots of qualifying this at Austin.
Right.
And I called up my parents, and I said, "Hey, if I get this slot, can y'all help me pay for this?" And they go, "They're not paying for it." And I go, I said, "Do you want to come with me?" Because they have some travel money available, And I'm like, "Do you want to come and see Austria?" And then we can make a family vacation of it. But I need your help. Like, I need to help paying for my trip there. And my mom was like, "Nope. Sounds like they're taking advantage of you." And this is somebody that's rational outside of the game, looking in. That's not doing triathlons, didn't just do the race and all that stuff, isn't all caught up in the emotions of it. She's like, "This is like I think you're kind of being taken."
Yeah. I have to run. I actually have the Team Continuum .net, by the way, half marathon dinner tonight, which I'm really excited about. We have a bunch of athletes running the New York City Half Marathon who all raised money for people's non-medical needs who have cancer. So people who couldn't pay their rent and mortgage and stuff. Yeah, and me and Christine raised $7,000 through our ultra marathon for that as well. Personally, with the help of you, by the way, thank you, and some other people who listen to your podcast. And want to really thank all of them. That was fantastic. But also want to tell everybody we have some slots remaining for the New York City Marathon. So you get free coaching by me, free nutrition and consultation with Christine, and you can find all that at teamcontinuum.net. Or just check out my website, johnhirsch.org. I'm sure you can get clicky and make it over there. But I do have to run. I have their dinner starting shortly.
Okay, man.
And we've been talking forever, so you better edit this down or else people are going to get really bored.
No, I'm going to tell them that we talk about triathlon union stuff at the end, and to stay tuned for that. No, I think people are really interested in that right now.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll find out. Yeah. We'll see how it hits. We want your feedback, listeners. What in this interview was good? What was bad?
No, just what was good. And what was bad? Good. Tell J_Hirsch at Twitter.
Awesome. My man, always good to catch up with you. Yeah. Big hug to the wife. She's fantastic, and we miss the hell out of you, and we hope we cross paths.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Okay.
Awesome, bro. Be well.
Later. Bye.
Cheers.
All right, that was a ton of fun talking to John. Some of it's probably inappropriate. But anyway, there's no FCC on podcasting. We can do what we want. All right, man, it's time to talk with you guys about emails and answer a couple of questions. Let me answer a question first that came in by email before we get into the training log and talk about all kinds of overtraining and getting back into gear. So somebody asked me on Twitter, somebody donated to the show, and then you donate to the show, you get to ask me all the questions you want on Twitter and by email. And I'll tell you how to do that in a minute. But the question was, how does a beginner measure heart rate in the pool? And the question was Thomas Weilert over Twitter. And the question actually goes like this. I really enjoy your show. Keep it up. Can you recommend a swim heartbeat monitor for a beginner triathlete? Now, this is complicated because there is no ideal solution. It's not like I can just say, hey, a Garmin or a Polar or something like that works great while out running or biking. You can just do that and look at your heart rate, because swimming induces a problem. And the problem is that, this is kind of cool to know, the frequency that modern heart rates in the past 10 years or so transmit at, and it's to save battery. They transmit digitally, and because digital saves battery over analog, so they'll last longer, but digital uses 2.4 gigahertz frequency. And it's actually the exact same frequency that your microwave uses. Now, why does your microwave use this? It's because the wavelength 2.4 is the exact same frequency that excites water. And this is in your microwave. It excites water, and if water gets excited, like I was saying about John Hirsch gets excited. He either has to do something, he has to move around and heat up, or he'll explode. So the water in your food starts vibrating and vibrating and gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and that's how a microwave works. And the reason that it vibrates and gets hotter is because when the energy at 2.4 gigahertz, the wavelength exactly matches the water molecule, maybe. But anyway, so the water absorbs it. It can't go through the water. So since it can't go through the water, the energy has to go somewhere, so it just shakes the water instead. And then that causes the heat buildup, right? You put energy into something, well, the something has to do something because of the energy that's going in. So it has to transform the energy into something else. It'll transform it as heat, for example. And that's how you heat up food in a microwave. And that's why put something in a microwave that doesn't have any water in it and turn on the microwave and watch what happens. It doesn't get anywhere near as hot as something that has water in it. It's pretty cool. Okay, so what happens in the pool? Your heart rate, you put on a heart rate strap, and your heart rate transmitter sends out 2.4 gigahertz trying to talk to your watch, but there's not only a little water in the way, you are submerged in water, and the signal only goes like an inch or two, a few inches maybe, before it just stops dead, because the water absorbs the signal coming off of your heart rate strap, and it can't make it to the watch on your wrist. You'd have to hold your wrist like up to your chest. So now you've got a problem. Now, there's some old. So these are the solutions. You can get an older heart rate strap and watch, and make sure that it's analog instead of digital. And the Polar makes one, maybe still, but anyway, it will pick up. I would ask to make sure you've got a model. Ask around on Slow Twitch or something like that to see if it'll work. But it will pick up heart rate underwater because it's at a different frequency, and the wavelength that's coming off of your transmitter isn't going to be absorbed by water. It goes fine. And so you could use that and have a dedicated swim heart rate watch if you want to do that. Another thing is Suunto has their heart rate strap now for their latest model watch. When you stop swimming and stand in the water with your heart rate strap above the water line and your wrist above the water line, over a few seconds, it'll transmit the data. It's got a memory chip inside the heart rate strap, and it remembers what happened, and then it'll transmit it to your watch. But it's not live anymore. It's like what happened since the last time that you did that. So it's not like you can swim along and see your heart rate on your wrist of what's going on right at the moment. Okay, and then another problem is that swimming with a heart rate strap on doesn't work really well, especially when you push off the wall and try to get streamlined. When you put your arms over your head and stretch your body out like that, your chest cavity gets smaller because you're stretching it. Like a rubber band gets skinnier when you stretch it. And then the push off from the wall is a lot of drag. It's a lot of force suddenly. And a lot of people have too much trouble keeping a heart rate strap on while swimming because of that. Now, if you were doing open water swimming, that wouldn't be as much of a problem, and especially open water swimming with a wetsuit on or some kind of tri-top on to kind of keep it in place is another thing. And maybe you could use some kind of athletic tape to keep it in place. So this has been a problem in swimming. For triathletes, this has been a problem in swimming forever. For swimmers, I can tell you what swimmers do. They don't even think about it. Not at all. They just go by perceived effort, and it's just too bad. that it doesn't work, that heart rate straps don't work, that perceived effort is what you have to go by. So there's a hybrid approach, and this is what I really recommend, is really pay attention while you're running and biking to what different heart rates feel like. Oh, there's another device I'll tell you about in a second. There's pay attention to what the different heart rates feel like, and then when you're swimming, you can pretty much nail down about what your heart rate is by perceived effort in the pool without having to do heart rate at all, because you know from running and biking what your heart rate is. And that's the fail-safe method that just works time and time and time again. It's not 100% truthful, but you take somebody that's been running and biking with a heart rate strap for a year, and I don't even know how long, maybe not that long, maybe a few months, and then you put them out on the bike and take their heart rate strap battery out, or take the heart rate strap off, and then say, what's your heart rate? They'll probably be able to tell you within a beat or two. So being a beginner, like you're saying, you don't know that yet, but it's coming. You'll totally be able to tell your heart rate. It's a little bit lower in the pool because swimming is zero gravity, and so it's less stressful on the body, and it's cooling, and there's a little bit of pressure on you, which is nice, and so your heart rate's a little bit lower. But that's about it. Okay, so there's one other device I forgot about. Finis, Finis, makes and this is actually pretty cool. I have one, but I quit using it, so I don't know. Is it actually that good? That clips to your earlobe, and then it tells you your heart rate through bone conduction speaker that's pressed up against the side of your head that you clip to your goggles. And then the ear clip, which clips to your earlobe, uses I think it's called a light pulse oximeter, light pulse. I forgot what it's called. But anyway, it can see it pushes light into your earlobe, and then your heartbeat, pushes blood in and out of your ear, and it can tell from the blocking of the light and allowing the light to pass through because of more blood, less blood, more blood, less blood. It can tell actually your pulse in your ear. And so you're swimming along, and you can program it to say your pulse every so many seconds or every so many minutes or something like that. And then you can press a button and it'll tell you your pulse too. And I found that kind of stuff is good to get kind of started, and then as you get better at swimming, you kind of start leaving that equipment behind and then find you don't need it. So you could do that, and then when you find you're not using it anymore and you haven't used it in a couple of months, sell it to the next newbie that wants to try it as well. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and do some donations. And it hasn't been very long since the last episode, so we only have a few in here. And let's see, we have Jessica Woodruff, Dan Machia, and Todd Endicott, and Carrie Honing, which might be Jeff Honing. All donors, and also some other nice donations to the show through PayPal on the left-hand side of the show. Oh, and Thomas Weilert, who asked the heart rate question for swimming. You can help support Zen and Yarda Triathlon by going to the left side of ZenTriathlon.com and clicking on the PayPal link. You can do a recurring donation, which is $1 per episode. It's about $4 a month, just under $4 a month, and or you can do a one-time donation and donate however much you want. And these donations really do help out the show. It is super cool to have people on there, and it really means a lot, and it helps pay the bills. I got my wheel cover on the back of my bike has pretty much disintegrated. Too much energy has gone into it, and now it's starting to come apart. I've microwaved it with my legs, and I need to get another one of those. And for races that are coming up, got Galveston 70.3 coming up, and Ironman Texas coming up, which I'm racing for. And I've worn out the rear tire on my bike, so I got to replace that. And these donations really, really do help with the podcast. So you can do that. And then also we have another sponsor. Oh, we got two more things we want to mention. Amphibian Multisport. I think this is their last time on the show. And you need to check them out if you're in the Chicago area. Go to Libertyville, which is north of Chicago, and check out Amphibian. They have indoor training. They have CompuTrainers. First day is free, $25 drop-in, $25 drop-in rate, $100 for the month if you're active military or firefighter or police. And yeah, man, get on a CompuTrainer and see what you can actually do. And get your bike checked out. Do all kinds of cool stuff. They have group training. Looks like super, super cool. And you can check it out at amphibianmultisport.com. One of the great triathlon, I was about to say bike shop. It is a triathlon shop. One of the great triathlon shops in America. If you're in the Chicagoland area, go check them out. And thanks for being on the show, guys. It's been really, really cool. And then we need to talk about Hornet Juice. Hornet Juice is an amino acid that if you eat it, it gives you crazy freaking energy for the long haul because it is synthetic Japanese killer hornet saliva. And I'm not making that up. You should definitely not use it for sex. It is not recommended for sexual activity. No one has officially done tested on that and doesn't understand or know if you pump that much energy into your private areas if things will explode. And it's probably not a good idea. So just use it for endurance sports. Unlike my friend who has tried it for other things, and I won't say his name. But Hornet Juice is on the right side of Zen and the Art of Triathlon. You can go scroll down over there on the right, and it's only like 60 calories per packet, but it lasts an hour and a half per packet. And amino acids, if you get them in the right proportions, then they turn on your fat burning, and it allows you to actually get a ton more energy out of your body into the workout, and so you won't get sick trying to eat so much sugar and stuff while going for a long workout. It's super cool. It's been around for a long time. I've been using it forever. It really does work, and by all the reorders that I get, you could totally tell that what people usually do is they buy like a 4-pack, and then they come back and buy a 30. They're like, holy crap, this stuff works. It's amazing. And it's super cool that it works that way. It's really nice. Oh, so Hornet Juice worked out a deal with me a long time ago. We sell through Zen and the Art of Triathlon, and you the customer, get your Hornet Juice, and then because I helped get the word out to you, I get just the tiniest bit off the top, and so it helps support the show, and it is the coolest way for you to help one of your favorite shows because, or maybe your favorite podcast, because you get a little bit of something. You get a whole lot of something. You get Hornet Juice, which is super cool and fun to train with and use in races. And then I get a little bit to help out the show. So you're helping yourself and helping out a podcast that you listen to all the time at the same time. It's super cool. You can't beat that, man. It's super cool. All right, let's go ahead and... Oh, it's on the right side. Take your mouse, go over to the right side of ZenTriathlon.com. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Now see the purple and yellow hornet, right? The Japanese killer hornet. Click on that. Then scroll down, and select what size packet that you want. It's just like that. Go over there and check it out, and then get it, and then it'll come in the mail. Oh, and if you get it, you get an email from me. It's super cool. I ask you how you're doing, where you're living. It's nice. I love talking to you guys. It's a great time. Okay, then let's go ahead and get started with the training log so we can get this show out there. Let's see. I start overtraining and I start blowing up and having crappy workouts, and I describe exactly how that happens. And at the very, very end of the show, I totally redeem myself and have a nice workout and tell you what I did to get all that done and the symptoms and all that kind of stuff of getting overtrained, so stuff to watch out for. So lots of cool tips and tricks in there for you to use. All right, here's the training log. Here we go.
You are entering the ZenTri training log zone. Huneli.
Hi, everybody. My name's Brett. I'm a triathlete.
I decided it's time I got some friends more suited to my status.
But Joe, we've been friends for years.
Hey, we all make mistakes. Come on, dudes, let's go exercise! Exercise! I'm gonna do sit-ups till I poop myself!
All right. Welcome to a new training log. Started March 26th, 2015. I'm out running with Kona, the Wonder Dog. What's up, dude? On a nice little boulevard road with cars. Not many, though. But no street lights. It's dark. It's nighttime. And I was just listening to an audiobook that I paused so I could tell y'all about it better than before. It is such a cool review, first-person narrative of a woman that is trying to research and try every single kind of habit method to be better than before. And I might have mentioned it on the last show. I was enjoying it. But she was just talking about something that's really cool for triathletes to know. And it's watch out for habits that have an end goal or a finish date, such as I'm going to do a marathon, right? Because it's got a finish line. I'm going to train for a marathon, or I'm going to try to get a six-pack. I'm going to try to get six-pack abs by my 30th birthday. Right? That's an end date. Hold on, I got to cross a little bit of traffic here. Hello? 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 Don't hit me. All right, thank you. And what happens is, and I have personally seen this so many times, the habit is a wrong concept. Because when the person crosses the finish line, they're done. They have nothing else to do the habit for. So they quit. And how many times have you seen people do Ironmans? One and done, right? Marathons, one and done. Or they get to their goal weight and then they fall off the diet, right? Because what they do is you reward yourself. You reward yourself with, I'm on a quiet road now. I need to be more quiet. I'm going to scare the locals. We used to sing a chant in the Corps when we used to run in platoon around campus early in the morning. I won't say it. It's filthy. Gotta be quiet. Anyway. God dang, man, I've been running my whole life. I'll get to that in a second. I just realized. It's like when I realized I've been riding a bike my whole life. Or walking everywhere my whole life. Anyway, you reward yourself with a break. Well, I'm here. Or it's kind of like a letdown. You're like, well, here I am. And so you quit for a while. And then not doing the thing is pretty nice. You know what's better than going out for a run in the morning sometimes, early in the morning, is laying in bed. You know? So she also talks about the sabotage, all y'all, of a reward that's counterproductive to the activity. So like sometimes I like to go for a run or whatever and then have a beer afterwards. It is a bad idea. You're undoing the whole point of the task, right? Car. If you got this podcast, then you're probably still alive. Anyway, she quotes an episode of Friends where Chandler's smoking a cigarette and Phoebe says, "But you haven't smoked for 3 years." And he said, "And this is my reward." So a better reward would be buy yourself some new running shoes. Save up another $5 towards your running shoes. Another pair, right? Instead of a beer. How much does beer cost? $1? $1.50? $1.50 if you like the good stuff. Instead, you could be putting $1.50 towards a new bike every workout where you don't drink a beer. And then you stay healthier, fitter, and then you get a new bike in the end. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah, my realization, I've been running my whole life. So grew up playing soccer, and soccer players run a mile to 3 miles to 6 miles or something like that. Or if you're pro, like an insane amount of miles per game. So there's practices and all that. And then, let's see, there's soccer, and then basketball, and then football, American not football, but football. And then military school, 5-6 days a week, up running 3 miles probably every morning, 5:30 a.m. and then a lot more running on top of that, and then a little bit of track, and then the Corps my freshman year. You have to run if you're a cadet in the Corps. They used to do this. I think they banned it as hazing. You had to run everywhere if you were on the Corps part of campus, which is a big part of campus. And I lived on the 4th floor, so I had to run 4 flights of stairs to my room, 4 flights down, every single class, and about a quarter mile every time I left my dorm room to get off campus. Run, and that's on top of the regular running. Run. You'd think I'd be faster. And then, I started doing triathlon when I was 29, 30. So I had a nice break there. But I was actually starting to run a little bit, but not much. Crap, that's a lot of running. No wonder I like it. I know it works. All right, I'm gonna get off the mic. I'm about to turn into a headwind. So I'm just running super easy. I figured out I was doing too much. I need to slow it down. Way down. Back off a little bit. All right, out and big. All right, buenos dias. It's the next morning since I left you on my little run last night. Really continuing to enjoy that book better than before. But I think I'm getting overtrained, doing too much. And so I just went to swim this morning and cut it short halfway through. And what really reminded me is the article I was reading last night on Triathlete Magazine talking about how to know if you're overtrained. And basically what's going on is you're not getting enough recovery in, and your body can't improve anymore. And so let's say in the case of running, or no, all this triathlon crap, you your workout speeds, even your cruising speed, just easy speed, gets slower and slower and slower. But the death spiral that you can't seem to break out of is, well, I'm getting slower. So I should speed up. I need to train more. And maybe I'll break through when I train more, I'll break through the slower, because training before has made me faster. So training more now will make me break through this, you know. So it sucks because it's damaging to the ego. One, you messed up, right? And no one likes to admit that they were wrong. And that's one of the biggest things that, as a grown-ass man, you need, a grown-ass woman, that you need to be able to do, is admit when you messed up. And I did that at work the other day. I messed something up, and I've gotten so much better at this kind of stuff than I used to be. And I said, I failed. I went to my boss, and I went to my coworker, and I said, I failed. I failed to do this, and I failed to do that, and I should have done this, and I should have done that. And then, you know, the sky didn't fall. It was all right. So, one, it's admitting that you messed something up, and two, there's many things. There's probably 1 through 20, but then now you've got a setback. You got to stop doing what you were doing that was improving you. So that doesn't help either. And there's several ways to handle it. One way is to continue to show up for your training, but just don't train as much. Back off. That's a double-edged sword, because I've been noticing these symptoms for a week or so, and I've still been out training and just holding back, and doesn't work. So, you know, you get stronger, like right before a race, you know, you taper so that you allow all your stuff to soak in and get stronger, you know, and it's obvious. That's the way to reframe it, is start getting tired, taper. But you're not tapering for a race. You're tapering for your body to recover and all stuff. So this article in Triathlete magazine was talking about overtraining or something like that. I forgot the title of it. But you have all these systems that, like hormonal and all kinds of stuff, that go on and repair you after your training. You start wearing those down, they can't do the repair work, or they can't keep up. And more training suppresses them so that you can keep going. And it's bad news. One crazy symptom is you're not able to, you get uncomfortable in hot or cold temperatures more than you used to. And that's one of my indicators, is I start getting cold and I don't like it. Like, my body can't handle cold like it did before. Like, it's really weird. You get cold, or you start feeling cold and uncomfortable in temperatures that aren't as cold as they used to be. So basically, one of the other things is, so I'm going out for a run, you know, and my easy cruising pace on a run was a low 8, high 7 on a good day. And now I'm struggling with a low 9. You know, just running easy, and nothing seems to help. And you'll have it's taking me forever to get my watts up on the bike when I'm riding. And you'll have the occasional day where you do a whole lot better than before, but I think it's actually a result of overfueling with carbs, and your body goes, oh, cool, I got rocket fuel for a minute. And then that's a bad place to be, because now you're becoming like super sugar dependent for performance, and that's how you can go into a death spiral into that world of bad stuff. And anyway, I had here's a state trooper. I had such good results with the polarized training, which had a lot more rest built in, that I've kind of gotten away from that because of fear. Wait, hold on. There's a cop. Okay, I don't know why I'm worried about it, but whatever. Just need to focus on driving. The fear of got an Ironman coming up. We want to do better than ever before, so you start adding in more workouts and more volume, and that's a problem. The thing is with recently, over the past fall and winter, I've had such awesome results, huge PRs, and increases in power and speed and hill climbing ability with polarized training, where if you do it right, which I was doing, there's lots of gaps in training to allow you to absorb the work. And the I got an analogy here in a second. It's pretty good. If you can't absorb the work, well then, you're not. Anyway, so I'm cruising along. Well, when I was doing polarized training, I kind of lost my train of thought there for a second. When I was doing polarized training, I kept getting stronger and faster, and I also had more time available to do stuff with the family. And then I had my best ever 50-mile trail run. It was like 9.5 hours of running, and that's endurance, man. That's freaking endurance. And it's really weird. Like, what's bothering me? Well, then with the fear of and the want of wanting better results, I started adding in more volume in the pockets of free time that I had, and then that quit allowing me to absorb the time to absorb the training that I was doing already, and then your body can't recover from it. And it's really interesting. You like today's swim and a lot of my recent workouts, it's like you're pouring water out of a hose, just pouring, it's just running out of the hose into a bucket, right? And the bucket would be your bucket of awesome, right? And you're filling it up with you're filling up your bucket of awesome with awesome because you're out training, but it's like the bucket's already full. You wish the bucket was bigger, right? But the bucket's already full, and water is just spilling over the top, and your body isn't soaking it up. Or it's like soaking up it's like wiping up a water on the floor, but the sponge is already soaking wet, and so you're just kind of pushing water around, and once you realize your body isn't absorbing the work anymore, you're like, crap, this is more wasteful of my time than anything else. So anyway, that's what's going on. I'm back at the house. So I cut my swim short. I just got out at like 26 minutes in. I was like, I'm not soaking this up. This is ridiculous. But then the ego is like, well, crap. You messed up, man. What are you doing? Just keep swimming. Maybe you'll get better. It's like, no. At some point, you got to pull the plug on it before the world pulls the plug on you, right? All right, out, bang. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up this podcast. I am sitting in the ZenTri home studios looking at my filthy bike that's sitting on the back porch, and went for a bike ride today, and it's actually the first day where it wasn't cool or cold. It was just right. Man, if every day could be like this, it was amazing. It was pretty windy. Got blown around on the road some. But anyway, I was out riding around on the Ultra Baby course, which was a lot of fun, and doing intervals. I've taken 2 days pretty much off training, and then went back out and felt strong enough to do intervals and was drinking UCAN, which I got off of Tawny Prazak's website at a discount. Stuff's so expensive, I don't know if I'd call it a discount. But it works really nicely. And yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. Taking a break was nice, letting all the systems come back online. It's hard taking a break, though, once you get used to not training. Once you get used to training so much, not training is pretty humorous. So what you do is you fill your time with other stuff like cleaning your bike and ordering parts off the interwebs. And, for example, coaching, which I need to catch up with. And, by the way, Brandon Marsh has some coaching available. Let me go to the link so I can tell everybody. And it's a virtual squad, so you can save some money if you don't want to pay a lot for one-on-one coaching. And it's tied in with the Real Starkey podcast, which is pretty cool. Lots of details. Go to team-marsh.com, and at the top there's some tabs, and one is called Coaching, and it's got the news up there. And also, Brandon is a bad-ass swimmer and biker and runner, but man, his swim is insane. He leads the swim at Kona and Ironman Texas and so on and so forth. It's just unbelievable how fast he is. So check him out. He's been on the podcast a bunch. And I just actually did some private messaging with him on Twitter, so he's a friend. All right. Anyway, that's it for the show. Let me wrap up with a sponsor. Let's throw that in there. Today's bike ride was brought to you by a little bit of Amrita bars. Definitely, I brought an Amrita bar with me in my back pocket. Nice quality carbs that aren't super fast acting, just nice and slow. And I actually ended up not eating it, but I did have an Amrita bar. Didn't need it with the UCAN stuff. It was kind of a backup just in case. And then I did have an Amrita bar earlier today. Yeah, it was earlier today. I could feel like I really just hadn't had enough carbs, and I was like, man, I need to eat something, and something, but I don't want something, nasty or unhealthy or whatever. I was just going to go outside and throw the football with Kai, and I was just kind of hungry, and so I had an Amrita bar. I had an apricot one. Oh, so good, and was throwing the football with Kai, which is really funny. What happened, Kai went to a camp, just a one-day, few hours long camp on the Texas A&M campus with the Texas Aggie football team. And they're a top-ranked, massive football team, and they have this kids' day where kids can come. And Emily drove them there and just kind of hung out in the stands while he was there. And I'd done a bunch of other stuff. Pinewood Derby and all kinds of crazy stuff already that day, and I needed a break. So Emily was taking them, and Emily came back and said, "You would not believe what happened." I was like, "What?" And she showed me pictures and a video of the craziness at this camp, and it was so great for kids and so much fun and inspiring and stuff. And then in the news last night, there was a video of Kai in the local paper, in the local website paper of the news, with he's being lifted on the shoulders of one of these giant football players, and then Kai, he goes, "All right, count down," and then Kai goes, 1, 2, 3, gig 'em Aggie, like that. And it made this video and the photo of my son being like the star kid, which he just happened to be in front of the camera at the time, but being the, not star kid, what do you call him? The center of focus at this football camp that made all the news is outrageous. It's so funny. I'm like, oh no, he's doomed to want to be an Aggie from now on with that. That is just crazy. And I'm going to have fun at work next week showing that to people. Because my group of coworkers and friends don't think that I'm as good of an Aggie as the rest of them because I'm not so into the football as they are. I'm more in the sports you can actually do and stay healthy for life, and football has a real short lifespan. It's not something you want to do for the rest of your life. And so I'm just kind of like, whatever. It's all right. I'd rather be into running or biking or swimming or something like that. And so I don't follow it as closely. But there was times where the Texas A&M mascot was my roommate the second half of my freshman year, right? And I was out on the field at the 50-yard line with the mascot and all that other stuff when I was in the Corps my freshman year. And went to all the different football games. I was security in the Corps for the mascot my freshman year. So I've been there, done that. You can't get more into it than I was. I'm just kind of a little bit past that. And so at work, when I show these coworkers, how my son was in the middle of all this, they're going to be like, "Your kid?" I'm like, yeah. Just got lucky, but it was fun. But anyway, so I was out throwing the football with Kai this morning, and wanted something to snack on, and Rita Bars was nice, and it was perfect. I ate about 2/3 of it, and then a little while later, ate a little bit more, and they're super, super healthy, and you can get some too, and maybe make a first-round draft pick football team stardom yourself, and get lifted on the shoulders of awesome people and be on TV with discount code. Let me find it. It's either ZenTri. That's it. All caps. ZenTri. No, Zen. 3 letters. ZEN. All caps. 15% off. Just go to amritahealthfoods.com. Just Google Amrita Bars, AMRITA, and check it out. 15% off. Discount code ZEN. All right. That's it for this episode. Everybody stay safe out there. Next episode, I've already got Tawny recorded for a show, and going to try to get Angela in on a show, and she promised she'd be on one, so we just got to do the recording to make it happen. So that's it. All right, everybody stay safe out there, work the uphills, cruise the downhills, and keep the rubber side down out.